hooked up. Coming light. Hello. Come back on him.
That was incredible.
Dude, nobody better. Nobody. Hell yeah, guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a very special episode of NWP. It's episode 301, baby. Woo! Can't forget about that
301.
Great to see everyone. My name is Eric Estep, and I am your host this evening. Joined as always by the iceberg, Jarrett Lundberg. And we've got Danny B, Daniel Baldwin in the house rocking. I can kind of see it behind that pop filter there, little circuit of the Americas merch. Ooh, great segue, Danny, because we will be
From my race I went to last year.
Yes, we'll be talking quite a bit about this year's COTA race in just a few moments. But first, how you guys doing? You guys having a good week so far? Jarrett, I know you've been getting over some stuff. Are you 100% tonight? Can we confirm?
Should I tell the story I told you guys beforehand?
How are your eyes? You haven't blinded yourself since last week?
So for anyone who watched my post-race stream, you notice I had little sniffles, and I thought it was because I had habanero hot sauce or like salsa, and I'm like, oh crud, I'm just, I'm a weakling now.
Damn.
Used to be really good with hot stuff, now I'm not. Well, here comes Monday, and I wake up and I've been hit by a truck. I'm like nauseous, I'm sweating, runny eyes, nose, all of it. It's just nastiness, cough, everything. And so, have some stuff brought up, from Walgreens, cough drops,
Classic.
tissues, all that. And I'm like trying to get better on the mend. I wipe my eyes, a lot because it's running. And like the next day, as my eyes, because I keep feeling every time I blow my nose, my eyes just start getting like burning more. And so I'm wiping my eyes down just because I'm like, I don't want all this wet stuff. I wake up the next day and they're crusted over, and I'm like, crap, I got pink eye. Like, I am worried as hell now. It's like, I have to be I next day. I have to tonight.
Your face is your moneymaker.
I have to be on camera Friday night with John, and I'm just like, no. And I'm like, I'm feeling my voice get better, and I'm feeling everything else get better. The nausea's gone. Well, here roll around to Tuesday night, and it's not getting any better. And Riss is sitting with me in our bed, and I'm on the phone with my cousin, and I just realized, like, I read the bottom of the box of Kleenex, and it's Vicks Kleenex. And so, like, the whole time I'm blowing my nose, and like there's little bits, and it's getting warmer, and then patting my eyes with the freaking Vicks Kleenex. I'm thinking I have pink eye. No, I have dumbass eye because I'm putting freaking Vicks directly on, not realizing, because when you're it was a burn in multiple different facets. Like, it was a self burn. And so, like, I'm just at an amazement, because when you're sick and you're not thinking, you're out of it, and you're like, what is causing
I don't think
this?
when I'm healthy.
What exactly is the reason to make Vicks Kleenexes? I can't understand it.
When you put like Vicks Vapor Rub, and like it helps kind of clear stuff up. So if you're blowing your nose and you're also breathing it in, I guess that's what it is. I literally just got Kleenex, and
You're
like
to clear your vision.
Well, Riss had me re-download DoorDash because I don't want to be on there anymore. That's just a money,
A money
suction pit. And so like she has me re-download it because she's at work, and I have it sent over, and I guess the guy picked up Vicks ones, and I felt like I feel like the biggest dumbass in the world that I'm actively putting Vicks, and it says on the bottom of the box, do not put on eyes, will cause permanent eye damage.
That just seems like, not to tease a later topic, that feels like a lawsuit waiting to happen, to that kind of collaboration with tissues.
Well, and I haven't had the chance to get any more. So here I am with this giant roll of freaking toilet paper, and I'm blowing my nose with that because at least it won't hurt my eyes.
Well, we're glad you've made it.
Lesson learned. Just stay off DoorDash. It's no good, guys.
They're actively trying to poison you.
It was desperate. It was a desperation move. Like, I have not ordered anything off DoorDash since like the start of November. I've been like trying to be better with like money and vices like that. So like, I guess advice of the night: check what freaking tissues you get, because they might freaking blind you.
Wise words from Jarrett Lundberg here to start NWP 301. Speaking of vices, before we really get into the race, have y'all finished your cookie cakes from last week? What kind of damage was done?
There's actually still some left in our fridge.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I made it through about a third of it.
I don't think it's
before I had
worth
to leave for
having any
COTA.
more of it at this point because it's a week later, but
It's still
Yeah.
good. The memories are
Like-
still great.
Well, like the first piece I ate, I wanted it because I've never been able to do this with a cake before. Like even when you get it, because it's usually like, like somebody else has got to do it first. I'm like, I want to eat my face first, and so I just carved up my face and ate it right after the show.
I love that. Well, it was delicious. It was a fun celebratory time 1 week ago. But now, folks, we got to get back to business. We have to get serious. This has been a massive news dump of a day. We have lots of headlines to get to in the second half of the show. Speaking of the halfway point of the show, I see we've gotten some super chats already from our very kind, very generous viewers and listeners. We will get to the first batch of those roughly 1 hour in. We really appreciate your support and we appreciate your patience. But we first need to get through Circuit of the Americas. Let's talk about that finish. Christopher Bell, William Byron, Kyle Busch, Tyler Reddick, Chase Elliott in the picture. 4-5, some past champions, some I think we could say future champions, duking it out head to head. Great stuff. Christopher Bell now is a 2-time winner already this season. Jarrett, what did you make of that finish, and what do you make of C. Bell's hot start to the year?
The finish, breath of fresh air. I loved it. I loved that it was clean. I love that it was 4 of the best drivers. Like, yes, I get it. I think Kyle Busch is not fully over the hill, but is definitely at he's at the second half of his career and a long ways into that.
It's real close.
He's on the back 9 to use a golf. I don't play golf,
but he's still got it in some ways. And like, and when he can get a halfway decent car under him, he can compete for a win. You got Bell, Byron, and Reddick, 3 of the top young guys up there racing. And you probably would have had Chase Elliott too, and we'll get to him later, had stuff on lap 1 not happen. But you get those 4 extremely talented, extremely clean drivers together. And it was, so many people have had that meme at cinema. Like, it's just awesome. It was awesome. It was so fun seeing that compared to some of the stuff we saw last year. Like, immediately, first thing I'm thinking is this here is the polar opposite to the entire end of the Richmond race last year. This is the opposite of so many of those races where somebody will race clean and get junked. Like, I'm just thinking that Truex Logano one, like 6-7 years ago, whatever it is now. Like, polar opposites in the best possible ways. And so, like, I'll take it. And as for Bell's hot start to the season, I mean, he's got a chance this week to add himself into some pretty damn elite competition.
Yeah, I know you looked up before the show. Every time a Cup Series driver has won 3 races in a row, and you mentioned it's a pretty extensive list, actually, surprisingly. But the more recent names are fewer and farther between. What are some of the names, some of the recent names that Bell could join if he three-peats this weekend?
Well, here's the thing about the 3-peat list and then partially 4-peat in the modern era since 72. It's actually not that long of a driver list. A lot of drivers have done it over and over again.
Oh, interesting.
Like,
Streaky.
so I can just like read them all. Really.
Go for it. Who has done 3 in a row?
Bobby Allison, David Pearson, twice Richard Petty in 74, 75, Yarborough, Pearson, Darrell Waltrip, Bobby Allison
Rushmore.
again, twice in 1 year for Dale Earnhardt.
Of course.
Rusty Wallace, Harry Gant, Bill Elliott, Mark Martin, twice in a row by Rusty Wallace, 3 times consecutively, 96, then 98, then 98 and 99 by Jeff Gordon, 04 by Jimmy Johnson, 07 Jimmy Johnson in 4 of the last 5. He basically won every race before Homestead. Kyle Busch and Joey Logano in 2015, Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch, Brad Keselowski in 2018. And then the only other driver to do it twice in the same year, other than Dale Earnhardt, is Kyle Larson in 2021. All of those are current or future Hall of Famers. And some of the, I mean, I think the worst one I listed in that list was Harry Gant, and he is going to be in the Hall of Fame if he's that good.
Eventually. He's due. He is due. Handsome Harry Gant is due. Yeah, that's wow. I mean, the way you start rattling off those names.
A lot of big names I didn't hear in that list. I don't think I heard Tony Stewart, did I?
Nope. Oh, overrated. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry, it's my channel. I can take a Tony Stewart shot. Danny, I want to bring you in here. What did you make of the finish between everyone? What'd you make of it?
The word that I used in my video I put out on Monday to describe this race was a masterclass, a driving masterclass. We needed to see that, much as Jarrett had just said. I mean, let's break this down. We came full circle with Kyle Busch and Christopher Bell. Last year, Kyle Busch is up in the face of Christopher Bell. I went back and watched that clip, and actually, first thing I saw Claudia. She was right there at it. Kyle Busch went around my wife, around some of the other media people, went up and got in the face of Christopher Bell. He said,
Slippery.
"Have I ever wrecked you?" And Christopher Bell, looking very scared, said, no, sir. He said, well, it's coming. And
with a no, sir.
That never did come. They kind of got over it. But a year later, Christopher Bell, and if I'm not mistaken, did that incident happen in turn 1 with them, or was it a different turn?
Turn 1. Yep.
I think it was turn 1.
They are in turn 1 again this year. He has a chance to spin out the obviously slower 8 car and take the lead. He doesn't. He learns from that mistake. He doesn't really lock it up per se, but he maneuvers himself strategically around, takes it wide, gets a better run out of that turn, and then he's got all the momentum he needs. He's getting ready to pass him. And this year, Kyle Busch admitted it. Kyle Busch made the boneheaded move of making the block when he should have, just tried to keep racing. Made contact, smoke goes up from the tires, and at that point, Kyle Busch's car, it's out there, but it's basically done. He's lost everything. And then at that point, he falls back, I think, the 5th? And at that point, the race is between Christopher Bell, William Byron, and Tyler Reddick. And oddly enough, they finish in the order of who has won at COTA the last 3 seasons. Bell this year, Byron last year, Reddick the year before.
And then Chase Elliott, I guess, was 2 years before that. So we just needed Ross to get in there. And then we would have literally a line of all of the COTA winners behind Christopher Bell. So close, so close. Yeah, that's great. I mean, that's a great point about Bell. That one moment where he clearly made an effort to avoid contact with Kyle Busch. For sure. I think that was praiseworthy. That was what stood out to me after the race, was everyone, even people who weren't in the battle, like Chase Elliott. He had a view of it, but he wasn't in the fight. Even he complimented all the drivers and said that is quintessential great NASCAR racing.
Not quite on the same level as 2012 Watkins Glen per se, but it's definitely up there in terms of one of the better road course races I think we've had in recent years.
Yeah, the 2012 Watkins Glen, I mean, the race I don't remember I'm sure was good all around. But that finish was obviously extremely memorable. Yeah, I wouldn't put this as like one of the greatest, most memorable finishes, but it was great in the sense that you felt all 4 or 5 drivers involved were putting their full talent on full display. And we don't see that every week. We certainly hadn't seen that at Daytona and Atlanta when there is so much beyond the driver's control at the end of these races. Do want to give Kyle Busch his credit, though. Yes, ultimately he made the mistake at the end, opened the door for Bell and then Byron, but he was in a bad spot. He was at a tire disadvantage. I felt for Kyle Busch because he had probably the best car, or I would say at least the 8 was the best car driver combo in the race. Like SVG gave him a good fight for much of the afternoon, but in stage 3, he couldn't get up to speed on restart. So I felt Kyle Busch was the most well-rounded driver in that race. If it goes green, if it goes green, he might have held off Bell for the win. I think he might have had a better shot than what we ultimately saw.
Kind of ironic that a JGR car spun out another RCR car to make that caution come out, ain't it?
That was a rough incident for Richard Childress Racing. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But I just wanted to give Kyle Busch, before we move on, I wanted to give Kyle Busch his credit. He's had, I know it's been super speedways, but I'd say he's had winning speed the first 3 points races of the year. And that's, I think, encouraging. We're going to real traditional racetracks now over the next few weeks. So we'll see if that keeps up. But
I do want to say one thing about Kyle Busch. I feel dumb. I had him as my pick to suck, and I shouldn't have, because this only added into, he's done really great at COTA since coming to RCR. He finished 2nd his first year for RCR. Finished 9th last year despite the incident with Christopher Bell. Yeah. And then this year, 5th, and was in it at the end. So I feel really dumb now for saying that. And
that's okay.
I've learned my lesson for Kyle Busch at COTA.
What a lot of people have forgotten is that the 8 car before Busch got there won 2 road course races with Tyler Reddick. So give Randall Burnett his flowers. He knows how to set up a road course car, it seems. where did this rank, in your opinion, among the now 5 COTA races we've seen? Because that continues to be a talking point. Will SMI and COTA get a deal done for next year? Should they fight hard to get a deal done for next year? Where did this rank among COTA races? What'd you make of the shorter layout, Jarrett?
I think this is the best. I personally think it's the best. Now, don't get me wrong. I think the competition isn't the greatest, just because I think the next gen has not been that great. And then I remember being at that first one, and that was just
You kind of have to just throw that one out.
That's the bottom one for sure.
Cherished memory for sure. Like I got to be at like the first kind of full on Cup rain race, but that was a cluster, everything. But I almost, I like the short course. I think that the short course offered a lot more than I thought it would when it came to passing zones, when it came to, from what it sounded like for people that were there, they were able to see the cars racing more in front of them. But I almost, and I don't know if that's a hot take to say this, I almost think it's being oversimplified that it's a short course that did it, and not enough flowers are being given a Goodyear.
I'm glad you said that. I agree.
We are so quick as a fan base to rip on Goodyear when they bring bad tires or too hard of tires, but these softer tires that they've been bringing, especially to road courses and short tracks, have been paying off. The racing's gotten better. I mean, you look at Martinsville last year, really great race, I would say. Felt like Martinsville. You look at the Roval, pretty good race overall. This one felt like an actual NASCAR road course race rather than a parade.
Absolutely. And throw Bowman Gray in there as well. I mean, that was a much better race than the Coliseum produced those 3 years. So no, I'm glad you brought up Goodyear because the last couple of road races, last couple of short tracks, really since they debuted that option tire at Richmond late last year, we haven't talked about the car and its shortcomings. And I think Goodyear, to your point, deserves a lot of credit.
After seeing this race, we've got a few other road courses coming up, but I'm actually hopeful that the race at Mexico might actually be really good in the midst of summer, high temps, maybe add some more grip to it. I think that race could actually be really good now after seeing this one.
Yeah, it's going to be slick if it's really as warm as it could be. When's that? Is that race in May or June?
It's Father's Day.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be warm. It's going to be toasty down there.
Oh yeah. I mean, I want to actually look at really quick while we go on to the next thing. I want to see what the average temp in June is in Mexico City. I have a feeling it's pretty warm.
That's actually Mexico is actually our next road course race, isn't it? We don't have another one for a little bit, do we?
Yep, that's right.
Is it before Sonoma? So yeah,
Sonoma's in July now.
Oh God, that's right. I forgot they moved some things around.
That's going to be hot.
That could be toasty. Yeah. If you find it, Jarrett.
Well, okay, so it's actually not terrible. It says so June 8th is a week before the average temperature. I have Weather Spark up right now. Okay. Is 78 degrees, which is not terrible.
That's the average. Is that the average high or just the average in general?
It's like the average high.
Really? Is it Celsius? No.
No.
I'm just trying to answer this question. Sorry.
Go for it.
Yeah. JK Speed did ask me just real quick, how did I feel about Bowman's comeback? He did actually have a comeback. He was great in practice, and then he qualified bad, but he made up for it. He started in 20s. He climbed up into the top 10, was looking pretty good. He had to go back again for a penalty, then he spun out, and then he still finished ninth. He still finished ninth place. So that was a heck of a run. He's really good at that track.
It's a good segue because I was going to mention a few other drivers who had great runs. I do think Mexico City, what's the elevation there? Isn't it like Denver? Like it's pretty high elevation, Mexico City. Maybe that's why it's cooler.
Irvin says it's almost double of Denver.
Double? Oh my, wait, 8,000 feet above sea level. Is that what Irvin in the chat is saying?
Yeah.
Holy hell. All right. Well, no wonder the temperature is so mild. Good choice, NASCAR. Shoot. But yes, on that note, Alex Bowman, hell of a comeback after a tumultuous final stage. I think, is it true that he still has a top 10 in every COTA race so far?
I think so.
I think
really
this
impressive.
Is worst finish.
This might be his worst
21,
finish.
21 too.
I think he did. He had a top 10 in 21. I forget. But Chase Elliott, his teammate, turn one, lap one, gets clobbered by the one and only Ross Chastain. First off, what'd y'all make of Ross's move? What'd you think? Ironic?
I mean, but look what he did when he was talking to Hocevar the week before, and like about Hocevar making a dumbass move, and he was probably saying, "Hey Carson, hold on, hold my beer, Hold my bush.
Hold my
I like
bush
it.
light.
Yeah. So Bowman, by the way, finished 8th in 2021.
Damn, man, he really fell off, finishing 9th. I'm just kidding.
Well, he's finished 8th, 2nd, 3rd, 4th. He went. Where was it? Where was 5th? You could have, keep counting them up, and then eventually get a win one day.
He's playing
But,
Sudoku. He'll get all of them
That
eventually.
means in 5 races, he has an average finish at COTA of 5.2.
He's gonna.
That's
You know what he's
why I
gonna
had him as
do?
my underdog. Maybe one day he'll win, but for now, he's just good enough for a top 10.
He's gonna repeat what he did in his career early on, except it's only top 10 at COTA instead of every position like in Cup, like 2 through 43. He's gonna finish 2 through 10 and then get a win at COTA if they come back.
He's collecting the Infinity Stones one at a time. Yeah, Ross Chastain turn 1, lap 1. I mean, I know I went just hard on Ross 2 or 3 years ago when there was a few incidents that just felt avoidable. But I've been pretty friendly to Ross the past couple of years, I would say. What the hell was that?
Old Ross is back.
This was arguably the most inexplicable move Ross has made some questionable moves. This might have been the dummest. I'm just going to be honest.
I love
he,
Ross.
He has one fight with Carson Hocevar about his driving, and then he breaks out the old Ross, the real Ross.
Maybe when he and Carson talked last week, Ross walked away from that like, oh, you know what? Carson actually made some good points.
That was Batman and Robin right there.
Yeah,
like
Carson was just like, just do it too. It's fine. Everyone's doing it.
Don't get me wrong. Like that was a dumbass move. Like that was really bad. Well, like on I think that might. I don't know if it's the worst move Ross has made. It might be. It's up there.
It's just the least. It's the least defensible because it's lap 1.
It's like he's trying to win the race on lap 1 from like 12.
At least when Joey did it at the Indy Road Course, it was the final stage. Like.
I'm sorry. Anyway. It's just so stupid.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the only way I can put it. And then, okay, this is my biggest gripe with Ross. And maybe it's because I've been media at tracks that he's done fun ass stuff at, like at Darlington in Kansas. He won't answer for it.
Yeah, why did he decline comment?
It's a track house thing, man. Like when I was there in person, like the track house people, I mean, it was like you had the Secret Service around Ross, and they're like, do not ask anything. Do not ask a thing about it. And there's like 3 people that are like telling you the same thing, like no questions about it. It's like, well, why do you think we're here, man?
Yeah, like I was busy. I mean, I'm just one person. I was on the other end of pit road trying to talk to all the guys who were part of that dramatic finish, and I didn't even have a chance. It sounds like I was glad I didn't waste my time trying to get over to the one car. I'll give Ross credit. He did a lot of media all weekend. He did a track walk early in the week, did a couple other things for NASCAR Social. Like the guy's not afraid of the camera. He's just, I don't want to say he's afraid of controversy, but I do think he is a little. I think he's afraid of the narrative that was assigned to him 3 years ago, and he's afraid to drudge that back up. I mean, there's a reason he pulled Carson away from the cameras at Atlanta last week. I think it was a smart move, but it was also like he doesn't want this negativity to be publicized. But like, man, you got to answer when you make a dumb move. You got to answer for it.
Here's my theory. Ross, I think, is the most normal guy in the Cup garage when it comes to drivers. I think he's a normal dude. He's a watermelon farmer. He's a farmer through and through. Like when his career's done, I'm betting you he goes back and he goes to his family's farm. I think he's a normal guy, and I think he gets stage fright. I honestly think that's what it is. Like when you're in the moment and you're amped up and you're excited about a win, like you're going to say whatever. Like it doesn't, you look at us like our first year of doing this when we got really amped up and like we're great in front of a camera. Then look at us when it's normal and we're like, no, whatever. I think that's what it is, honestly.
Maybe. Hey, you might be right.
I hope he comes out of his shell more when it comes to the controversy side of it, because if he could answer for it, I feel like he'd be the greatest anti-hero for a lot of people, or just the most fun guy to watch after all of his shenanigans.
A lot of talk this week, and we'll get to Connor Zilisch later, but he made some mistakes in the Xfinity race, and he came out and apologized and said, hey, I got to be better. I've sent some texts. I'll be better. Carson Hocevar made some mistakes, let's say, at Atlanta, and he came out and he kind of spoke both sides. On one hand, he was like, I could clean it up. On the other hand, he's like, well, I'm not here to make friends. He kind of leaned into the heel, I'd say, a little more. Ross needs to decide which one he wants to be. Does he want to take the high road and like Zilisch did, or does he want to lean into the antagonistic nature like Hocevar? He kind of has to decide, and I don't know, no comment. It's just, I bet Chase Elliott doesn't love that either. For what it's worth, Chase Elliott also declined comment on Ross post race, but I think that's more calculated. You can't telegraph your retaliation. We know that gets you into trouble. Well, we can move on. Yeah, definitely a bold, let's say, bonehead move from Ross. Chase Elliott was able to recover in the final stage. They put fresh tires on it at the end. He drove through the field to 4th. Really great comeback for Chase. Want to shout out a few other drivers with some good runs. Noah Gragson was in the top 10 late. He finishes 8th. We mentioned Bowman 9th. Todd Gilliland gets both front row. I'm sorry, not both, 2 front row cars in the top 10. I think Zane got damage in the Cindric Ty Dillon incident we'll talk about in a moment, but good day for front row. Carson Hocevar qualified 4th, finished 13th. Solid day for Carson after his runner-up finish at Atlanta. Also want to mention Brad Keselowski, who guts out a top 15 finish. His cool suit failed on him, and it was a sneaky warm day in Austin. It was like in the low 80s, but the sun was out, cars were baking, and that's a physical racetrack,
wasn't it?
Yes, it was. But
one question.
Brad was taken to the infield care center, was okay, but man, that's a gutsy performance.
I have one question, and I know you were there, so you might know more about this, but was it true that like his power steering was having issues too? Because I know that like it was going around social media,
With
but
Brad?
I never saw any proof of that. But if
I
that's the
don't-
case, then it's like,
Well, I
good for
didn't.
you.
Obviously, I did not talk to Brad after the race, and I was not listening to his radio, so I can't confirm that. I didn't see that. But if so, shoot, man, you saw the ripped sleeves he had for those cellular commercials, consumer cellular commercials. He was putting his muscles to the test if that was truly the case. Dude worked hard, top 15, and we've documented on this show. I think I picked him to suck this week. Not
I
been a
did
great
too.
road course racer. Yeah, not been good at road course races the last couple of years. To get a top 15 under those circumstances was really, really impressive. Now let's talk about drivers who struggled. Kyle Larson, couple incidents, had a wheel fall off, of course, a couple of crew members suspended. We found out today.
Vacation.
Ty Gibbs, I still think he's finished like 25th or worse, like 8 straight races going back to last year. Just
He's found a way to go airborne at tracks he shouldn't be. He's
Yeah.
going up at Talladega, isn't he?
monster trucking in the monster Toyota.
Well, Fox never covered that on their broadcast, and I watched both on TV, and props to NASCAR for putting it up until about 25 to go on their YouTube channel live stream. They've been doing it like every week, I've noticed, on like either Fox's or NASCAR's. They never covered it. I had to find out because I looked in social media, and then I just see like there's Ty Gibbs lifting off.
Yeah.
Houston, it's Austin, but he's saying, Houston, we have a problem.
Yeah. Tough break for Ty Gibbs there. He's had some bad finishes lately. A lot of them really aren't his fault. Just wrong place, wrong time. He's a good road racer. This could have been a big day for him, but kind of got off to a bad start.
This is the year he's supposed to break out, isn't he? By all that we've seen from previous now good veteran drivers like Larson and Elliott, they were winning by their third year. This is the year we're supposed to see him shine, right?
100%. And the way last year started, his sophomore year took a pretty big jump. It looked like he was right on track to have
He was
year
in
3 be his
contention at
breakout
Bristol in
year.
the spring, last year.
He led 400 plus laps last year. Like that's real. That's real numbers. But
There's
most
still
of that was
plenty
in
of
the first
time,
half.
and it could still happen. We cannot judge this after only 3 races of him, but
But it's also the last 5 races of last season. That's why I think people are like, and remember, he missed the main event in the Clash. Like he failed to qualify at Bowman Gray. So
true.
really 9 races now, he's not been good for one reason or another. So something to watch. Phoenix this weekend's been a good track for Gibbs, Joe Gibbs Racing, I should say, the past few years. Ty won a championship in the Xfinity Series at this track. So this is another opportunity to maybe bounce back. But Ty Gibbs got off to a bad start at COTA. A couple of drivers got some really bad finishes. We hyped up Team Trackhouse coming into the weekend, bringing 4 great drivers and great cars to a road course. But they ultimately come home with 36th and 37th place finishes. Daniel Suarez, late in the race, loses it in turn 19 and collects the 18-year-old Connor Zilisch. I first want to ask y'all about Connor Zilisch because I think these are somewhat 2 separate conversations. Danny, I'll start with you. We'll talk about Xfinity in a moment. On the Cup side, were you impressed by Connor's performance this weekend? What did you make of his Cup Series debut?
Well, considering he started off with what honestly at first looked like it could be almost race-ending damage at the start,
Yeah.
considering he had that to deal with, he eventually did start making his way back through the field through circumstances, and I felt like he was doing okay. Just couldn't really see where to go to avoid the crash, and ultimately that's just what happened. It he's how old is he? He's
18.
18, 18, his first cup race. What more could we really ask for? He at least logged laps out there, and
He passed a
gave it
lot
the
of
best he
cars.
could. He passed a lot of cars. He was on track to finish better than people who race every week in the Cup Series. So I don't think anyone expected him to go out and contend for the win in this one. He definitely had a car capable of it, but I don't think anyone expected it of him. And I think it is what it is. I wouldn't mind if they tried to run another race with him. Maybe see if they can organize something for Mexico City, or maybe do something, run him on an oval if they want to, something like that. The Project 91 car still exists, right? Put him in that one for a race.
Justin Marks definitely left the door open to another cup race or two this year, though nothing is definite. And I want to mention before I turn to you, Jarrett, that Kyle Busch tweeted at Connor Zilisch, "Hey, I finished last in my cup debut too." And obviously Kyle's gone on to have a pretty successful career. Jarrett, what did you make of Connor Zilich's Cup Series debut?
Well, I mean, it's a road course, so like we were expecting him to do a bit better than most people do in their first start.
Yeah.
He seemed impressive enough, though. I mean, he was making up a ton of spots. I think he'd gotten from like last all the way up to 13th before
Yep.
he had got taken out. He was putting
Mhm.
up top 3, top 5 speeds. Not to say that he would have finished up there. I think a lot of it also had to do with tires. But he was unlucky. I mean, you can't really grade too much off that. The little things though, little mistakes still. There were a couple times where it was clear he just got hoodwinked by a couple of guys with way more experience. And he can have all the experience in the world at road courses, but like when you're racing the cup guys, like they're going to know every way to get around you. But at the same time, he was doing the same thing when he had the advantage. I still question, because tying it into the Suarez side of things, I still question if he's ready to go cup racing on the ovals. I'm very interested if they do add him into any others. And I was thinking the best way to probably add him into any other race would probably be to have him make starts in races or weekends that the Xfinity Series is off, so they don't coincide too much focus wise with the Xfinity Series. Maybe like a Kansas where only the trucks are with them. I'm just kind of looking through the Xfinity schedule right now and seeing
That's
if
valid.
you do want to have him try something where the Xfinity Series is also there, I mean, he's young. It's an idea. They could benefit from having an extra car for Talladega, right? For drafting purposes. I mean, it's just an idea.
Yeah. There's 6 drafting races now. I guess never too early to start learning.
I think though, it's like, I think a better option would just be to the weeks the Xfinity Series has off. Like there's I think a 3-week span where there's no Xfinity race in May. And that's like, why don't you get them up in a cup race in one of those, like a Kansas or like a Michigan in June or whatever. I question whether or not he'd be ready for Cup, or if he's going to be like a Joey Logano or a William Byron, where it's a really young driver put up there, has the talent we've obviously seen to succeed, but it's going to take a couple of years, and you're just kind of rushing him up because Red Bull wants him there, which is what Justin Marks alluded to.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. We can kind of pivot a little. My thoughts on Connor's performance in the cup race, at least pace wise, I expected him to be top 5 in pace, and he was, I would say, for most of the race. But my concern was restarts, and sure enough, it was the start that got him. And it wasn't his fault. Nobody could have predicted his teammate bonsaiing 5 wide in the first corner, but he did, and it cost Connor track position. But it was a blast watching his onboard on the Max stream in stage 2. That's when he went from like 30th to 13th, and it was very enjoyable to watch. So I was impressed with his pace. But to your point, Jarrett, we can move this over to kind of Suarez conversation. No, Connor is not ready for Cup. On road courses, he is. And if you put him out there for all 6 road courses, there's a decent chance he could win one of them. I think so. Yeah, even at this age, I think there's a decent chance he could get one, but he's not ready for the ovals. Maybe by the end of this year, we'll see enough from the Xfinity Series that makes us think he could be ready to learn. The question really, it's kind of the same question with SVG. Like, SVG is not as good as Daniel Suarez at the ovals right now, but he's obviously better than SVG at the road and then Suarez at the road courses. So you kind of that offsets and they end up kind of being equal, but you feel like Van Gisbergen's going to keep getting better. Connor Zilisch, I think, is probably lower right now than Suarez if you average them out, but he's obviously 18 years old with an unbelievably high ceiling. If Red Bull wants him in Cup next year, at least you know he has funding that will hopefully lead to Trackhouse being patient with him.
You can't say no to funding. Unfortunately, that was the team owner. So,
like William Byron, they could afford to be patient with Byron. He was ripping it in trucks, Xfinity, and then he gets to Cup with Chad Knaus and couldn't win for 2.5 years. Couldn't win on a non-super speedway for 3.5 years. But they were patient with him because he was really young. They could see the talent, clearly the potential, and he had some sponsor support. Exalta was willing to sign on with him. I'm sure he was cheap, all things considered. Liberty University, of course, was a longtime partner of his. If Red Bull is willing to give Connor a couple of years, then maybe you do put him in Cup next year, because I think it's undeniable at this point his ceiling is higher than Daniel Suarez's. And I like Daniel. It's just the unfortunate truth.
Well, Suarez, to me, I mean, between the interviews at Atlanta and COTA and the performance last couple of years and sort of the abrasiveness between him and Justin Marks, he just feels like a dead man walking right now. I mean, that's no other way for me to kind of put it. I mean, it just feels like it doesn't even matter if Connor Zilisch is the one that goes up there next year. I mean, I put it out there that if Kyle Busch doesn't have a place to go and doesn't want to stay at RCR, Trackhouse is better for him.
A 1-year
better
deal.
Than 1 year stopgap for
maybe Kyle would do that
for a year. Fine. And if Kyle wants to go to a better place, do a sort of a Casey Kane type thing. I don't really think that unless they absolutely have to, Trackhouse and Suarez are going to be a thing next year. That would be the last case scenario for Trackhouse, and that'd be the best case for Suarez.
It would be sad because Suarez was the team's very first driver, and they built into what they've become. And Suarez's career, this is the longest Cup ride he's ever had. He went through 4 teams in 4 years, I think, from 20
something like that.
2017 he was with JGR. 2018 he was with
he went from Gibbs to SHR to Gaunt to Trackhouse.
Yeah,
it was a lot. It was like 4 teams in 4 years at one point.
Did he have 2 years of JGR, or was it only one?
He had 2. He had 2, and then I think it was 1 and done everywhere else, or the other 2 stops. I mean, Daniel's he's a fine driver, but the last 2 weeks are not the way you want to enter contract negotiations. You go to 2 of your best statistical tracks and suck. I mean, or make mistakes. He didn't suck at COTA. He qualified well, ran top 10, but he made a mistake. He slipped in turn 19 and wrecked. And it's, he wasn't the only driver to make a mistake in that race, but it's still not great. You walk out of your 2 best races with 30 plus place finishes. That's just not getting it done. So I do feel like the writing's on the wall. Unfortunately, I don't feel like, other than nostalgia now between Marks and Suarez, there's nothing really tying Daniel to Trackhouse at this point. He does have sponsor support from Freeway Insurance. I'm sure Coca-Cola, there's some. That's more of a personal deal. What are his others? Kubota. He's got some legit sponsors. That's the thing. Maybe that's.
But are those Trackhouse sponsors or Suarez sponsors?
I think Freeway feels like a Suarez because I think they're based in Texas. I think they like, Daniel, like from a demographic standpoint, that's like a good spokesperson for them. But Kubota is not. You're right about Kubota. Jockey is a Trackhouse sponsor.
If he's got funding like that, I don't know how much Hayek is committed with Ricky Stenhouse, but I feel like that could be a potential opportunity for him next year if he's got some funding, because it doesn't seem like Hayek has all the greatest funding right now.
He'd probably be fine over there, but I think they did sign Ricky to a multi-year extension, which obviously
I knew that he had done an extension with JTG Daugherty, so I didn't know if changing the ownership might have impacted that or not.
No, Chad is saying Freeway Insurance is Georgia based. I see him in Texas everywhere, and they had a ton of people at the COTA race. I guess I just assumed they were Texas, but okay, they're actually from Georgia, so I stand corrected on that.
Same lower half of the country, at least, but
the South,
there's a good one. Suarez to Colleague. Maybe he would be a Ty Dillon replacement.
I mean, maybe. I mean, if he brings some money, Colleague can. I don't know. It'd be an increase over Ty Dillon.
Yeah. The question then would be, does Suarez have sponsors that are willing to follow him to those places? Like, he doesn't have that CommScope Eris money, it seems like he used to. So would a sponsor like Freeway or Coca-Cola be cool with him going to a 30th place team? I don't know. That's
I mean,
tough.
it wouldn't be that far down of a decrease.
Yeah.
Though. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the problem, and I think that's like what we talk. Like, I think a lot of people, have compared like Suarez and Trackhouse to like Bubba in 2311, except it's like Suarez each year is like statistically like kind of taking that ladder down. Whereas even if the points results don't show it with the system how it is now, like it doesn't show the full season where it's like you see Bubba and it's been like better each year.
That's
and now
true.
he's like I think Bubba's sitting like what, 6th in points or something.
He's off to a very good start. Shout out to Bubba qualifying second, by the way. That was at a road course. That's impressive.
So I can't say that we can say he's a good road course racer per se, because he's never going to be that top 5 level. But can we at least say he's probably top half of the field now? Like
Bubba
15th,
Wallace?
Yeah, 10th to 15th place guy. Like he's good at the Roval. He did pretty decently here. He's had good runs at road courses last year or two, on and off. It's like, it kind of reminds me of like Dale Jr. in the later years of his career. Like he sucked forever, especially at DEI. He was awful. Like I remember the year he finished like 26th, and I'm like, hell yeah, you finished, baby, let's go. And then like the last couple of years, like people forget one of Junior's last top 10s in his career was at a road course. It was Sonoma. I think he finished like 6th or 5th or something. Like it was like he was competing for a top 5 and he was cooked at that point. Yeah. Like this is kind of like, it seems like this is on a lower scale, like that same story. But it's like the difference between those two drivers, going back to it, is like one is clearly at least getting better year by year.
Mm-hmm.
And
the other is
one.
Yeah, the other is not. And some of that's the car. Trackhouse is not as good as they were 2 years ago, but some of that's probably the driver. You can tell Daniel's pressing. He's made mistakes more and more frequently. To kind of piggyback off your Dale Jr. story, I can relate to that as a Matt Kenseth fan because he was not a good road racer. But for all my Matt Kenseth fans out there, y'all remember his last road course with JGR was Watkins Glen 2017. Dude almost backed into a fuel mileage win, almost beat Trix. I was out of my seat. I remember how hyped I was. Like, he's about to win a road course race. You got to be shitting me. And then just Truex barely had enough fuel to make it.
That's how I felt in 2014 with Junior, where he finished 3rd, but they showed like, I think it was like Gordon pitted 3 times and like Edwards pitted twice. They're like, how many times has Dale Jr. pitted? It's like 6. It's like it's every time Steve's fresh tires, and finally it worked.
By the way, Carsboy95 asked if Quaker State was a Trackhouse or Suarez sponsor. That's definitely a Trackhouse sponsor.
Probably.
Quaker State was with Hendrick for the longest time, and then they got a Valvoline, and now you see Quaker State on the back of like all the Trackhouse cars or something like that, I think.
I'll give them credit. Quaker State put some really nice looking paint schemes on the track. Yeah. So I do hope they stick around regardless of who's driving. Yeah, be interesting to see if Zilisch gets any more seat time in Cup this year. And then Daniel Suarez, man, I hope he figures it out because I'd love to see him, if not stay with Trackhouse, still end up with a competitive Cup team. He's a good dude. But man, been a rough couple of weeks.
If he went to Colleague, do you think he'd get right rear hooked?
On that note, Austin Cindric right reared Ty Dillon lap 3 at Circuit of the Americas. The first few laps of this race, people were driving with their heads cut off, it seemed. NASCAR came down today and gave Cindric a 50 driver point penalty and fined him $50,000. They did not suspend him. We've seen NASCAR suspend Bubba Wallace, Chase Elliott in the past, though those incidents took place in the dog leg at 1.5 miles. Austin Cindric spinning Ty Dillon out was coming out of turn 20, one of the slowest corners on a road course. So what are your guys' takes on this? Did NASCAR get the penalty right? Or do you think they were too lenient or too harsh? What do you think, Jarrett?
I will say, I know we usually wait on super chats. I think you should read the most recent one because it's kind of relevant to this.
All right, let me read this. Vogue says, I don't understand why Cindric right rear hooked Dillon on the straight when he could have packed him in a box, taped it up, and shipped him off into turn 1. Good point. Yeah. Good point. That is true. So, that would have been a cleaner payback, I suppose.
So based on what they've done before, I think, that it fits like what NASCAR has set as their precedent. I think, though, I go into the corner with Kyle Busch here where I don't like grading these things off of result or off of individuality on them. It's intent. At the end of the day, it's intent. And I think that it was a really dumb move. And I think if you really wanted to get a point across, I honestly think that suspending him wouldn't be the wrong answer. I really don't. I think 50 points is harsh enough. And you'll see on the bottom line, he's went from like, I don't know where he was. I have the old points right here. He was 11th in points. I think he's like 34th now or something.
That sounds right.
And I get everyone's gonna, unless it's like a driver they hate, like everyone's gonna be like, oh, it was too harsh. But like I think we need to grade off intent. I really do. I don't like the argument of speed because yes, it was slower. It was 100 miles an hour, but it went into an unprotected wall rather than a safer barrier. So like, is the hit really that much different if he hits it full on? It's in front of another car coming anyways. Like, I think if NASCAR should take a hardline stance against stupid moves like this, because I think that if you immediately take away like, hey, even if you make it, you're kind of screwed going into the playoffs kind of thing. I think it would get the message not only across the rest of the field, but definitely to the guys at the front of the pack if they were in that position.
Maybe Cindric's okay been watching our show and watching our chat. He's thinking, oh, it's just Ty Dillon. Well, what are they going to do to me?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, Jarrett. And as someone who would prefer a black and white rule, yeah, all right rears are this. I think I'm not opposed to that standard being set, but you also kind of said it, that isn't the standard that they've set thus far. I mean, Bubba and Chase were suspended, but those came at really high speed ovals. I mean, objectively, the hits were dangerous, head on into the wall at a bad angle. Whereas recently they did not suspend Noah Gragson for wrecking Sage Karam on a road course. They didn't suspend Carson Hocevar last year for right rearing Harrison Burton. And I don't think Harrison had gotten to the wall. It was a fairly light right rear as they go, but it was still a right.
I voted for Hocevar to have a harsher penalty on that too, because I don't like I don't like under caution stuff. That was the thing. Caution for a reason.
So that was the thing, is he got 25 points for that, which is half of what Cindric just got. Yeah. And I would argue what Hocevar did was worse, even though it was against slow speeds. Burton didn't get put in the wall, but because it was under caution and theoretically you could have safety vehicles coming out onto the track at that point, nobody's expecting to get hit by anyone at that point. I would argue what Hocevar did was more egregious than Cindric, but they're both bad. They both deserve to be penalized. I guess based on historical precedent, I would have said 25 points, $50,000 for Cindric as well. But I agree with what you're saying, Jarrett, that maybe intent, and what Kyle Busch said, maybe intent shouldn't matter. And if you just right rear someone, you should get the hardest penalty. I just think it's tough now with the suspension. So the 50, I would argue this, the 50 points is worse than a one race suspension traditionally, because Austin Cindric's not getting 50 points at Phoenix. That's just not happening. No. But because suspensions now also come with that playoff point or the forfeit of playoff points for the entire year, then yes, that is a much more serious penalty, I would say. I just don't know if a spin, I guess I have a hard time docking a guy 50 points or more when we saw Ross Chastain basically take Chase Elliott out and arguably just as bad a hit. I know it wasn't intentional.
Yeah, but right rear hook, and unless like SMT data shows otherwise, it's pretty damn clear what you're doing. And then I want to bring up Dirty Death brings up a good point in the chat. Like Ty Dillon hit, I don't know if it was concrete or guardrail, but an unprotected wall with no barrier, 108 miles an hour. Like that's still, if that's a head-on hit, either way, would be a hard hit. Plus, I think it was in front of I can't remember who was in front, but there was a car that almost hit him and had to come to a stop. Zane Smith. Okay. So, I mean, like, I get that, the back and forth of it, like 25 for Noah, was it, I think, or 25
it was 35 for Noah. Okay. That's the thing, is I just feel like what Noah did was worse.
We don't even have, like, if we're even talking precedent, we don't even have precedent of what the penalty is going to be. We're doing 50 here, 35 here, 25 here. And
suspension here. Yeah.
Suspension here. And I just, at what point, like, are we going to start putting in like, okay, with this speed, you get this penalty, and then here it's, like where can I crash someone at the end of the year at Phoenix so that I have pretty much just had to pay like a $50,000 fine, which my team owner will pay for me, and get revenge because like, oh, well, we're only going like 120, but it's like, if we're going 160 or 70 at Charlotte or Vegas, like, I just don't like, because it just muddies it up more. It just muddies it up more. And then we're putting it in ball and strike call again when it doesn't need to be. That's the thing. Like some things need to be ball and strike calls, you know, as much as we dislike and can disagree on the stuff with the finishes. Like at the end of the day, those are things that like we can grade on different levels, like things like that with cautions. But like this one is just, it seems like something that's unnecessarily complicated.
Yeah, I wish there was a more clearly defined, consistent penalty. I think a penalty was absolutely justified. Should have been 25 points, 50 points, a suspension. I asked the chat, and our chat, we have 700 plus people watching. Almost 60%, 58% say that the Cindric penalty was just right. 24% say it was too light, so they're probably arguing for a suspension. And then 16% believe it was too harsh. Maybe they wanted less points. Maybe some folks wanted no penalty. Shoot, the whole chat last week wanted them to race back to the line in the case of a big one. So, sometimes safety matters, sometimes it doesn't. It's kind of inconsistent, I would say, on there.
Let's see, where's he at? Where's he at? Right here.
Custer or Cindric, there he is. I thought you were pointing at Cole Custer, and I was like,
It's better than Ty Gibbs.
Yeah, he is still 1 point ahead of Ty Gibbs despite the 50-point deduction.
I'm just more interested in how he's going to respond from this, because I do think, aside from this, we've all noticed, like, it seems like so far this year we're seeing a lot more of Cindric up in the front, and spoiler, I think he will be contending in the top 10 at least this weekend. And because it's this early, 50 points. I mean, you go on a run of a few great races, compared to your peers out there, you can make up that 50 points this early in the year. It's still plenty of time. And also, if he, messes around, has a moment like Gateway last year, Cindric could still sneak off a win,
Yeah, I agree with that. I do think more than likely this guarantees he's going to need to win to make the playoffs, but he was probably in that boat regardless, unless this was the year he really breaks out and runs top 10 every week. But I don't think any of us really expect that. I mean, he's supposed to be a good road racer, right? They qualified 35th at COTA. Like, what? I just don't trust this team. I don't trust the driver, quite frankly.
I think he is capable of winning. I'll definitely be watching out for him when we get to Talladega for sure.
Oh yeah,
and he could have other races that surprises us.
But I just mean, like, from a point standpoint, yeah, the 50 hurts, but it doesn't really change the goal of you need to win. You need to win a race to make the playoffs. That was probably going to be the case coming into the year. I don't think that changes now. It just sucks that it's still just deflating to have a 50-point penalty. And I do think Cindric is pressing. The story this offseason that his dad is taking a lesser role at Penske, combine that with his teammates winning the championship every year. Like, at some point, whether he feels the pressure or not, I think even internally, Cindric feels pressure to perform better than he has. He's in year 4. Like,
time's running out.
He's in year 4 driving for one of the best 3 teams in the garage. You gotta win or at least contend more frequently than he has. I think even he would admit that. Anyway, we can move on. Almost done with COTA. We'll get to the Xfinity race in a moment because there are a few things to talk about there. This is a full show, folks. Appreciate you sticking with us. I do want to mention this super chat from Andrew a moment ago before we get off the Cindric thing entirely. What if Dylan was injured in that incident? Broke his wrist, for example. Then is there a suspension? I think it's an interesting comment. I saw a lot of people in the chat were commenting on this super chat because it goes back to what you were saying, Jarrett. Do we judge the intent or do we judge the result? And I think NASCAR right now is kind of in between, almost more leaning towards the result, whereas Kyle Busch and others are saying, hey, let's just make it clear. One size fits all, regardless of the result. What's the intent? If you right rear someone,
you don't know what the intent will be. Sorry,
you don't know
what the outcome will be with that intent.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, I saw this one, I think it was from 5 Flags, I want to say. Way slower speed. Somebody right rear hooked somebody else into a wall in one of their races. Dude ended up in the fence. Like, slower speeds, we
saw Ty Gibbs take off at Bowman Gray.
Yeah, I mean, that was a weird situation, but it's just like, if we're judging off speed, like, I'm sorry, like, we've seen it, late nights at your house when we're sitting watching old compilations of car crashes and stuff, and we'll see somebody on the interstate that just goes flying, and they're going like 50, 60 miles an hour when they're slowing down still at that point, and they still fly. Get different cars, all that, but it's like speed is not a universal barrier towards result.
We just need to add another roof flap and we're good.
Yeah. We'll add one to like the windshield or something, man.
Just one more roof rail and it just all will be fine. A few fun facts real quick before we get into some other numbers. Riley Herbst, can y'all believe this, has finished 17th in all 3 races this year. What a
And he's-
goofy stat.
And he's like, I
He's
think
gonna be the
20
first
something.
driver out.
And meanwhile, we'll see on the bottom line, I think he's like 23rd or something in points, or 21st. 21st.
This COTA race we talked earlier about, was this the best COTA race ever? NASCAR would point to the 20 lead changes as maybe an argument that it was. It ties the NASCAR Cup Series record for lead changes in a road course race. 20 lead changes. That's crazy. Also, this is a fun one. Between Byron and then Bell in back-to-back weeks, all three winners this year have led a combined 19 laps in those respective races. Jarrett, you looked this up earlier. Apparently, this is a new record low for the first three races of a NASCAR Cup Series season ever. So Kevin Harvick must have unretired. Everyone's closing out strong. It's all about the closer coming on
Super
late.
speedways and road courses, man.
That'll do it. That will do it. Some numbers for y'all real quick. We weren't looking for Xfinity numbers. I don't think we found the Xfinity viewership chat. If y'all can find reliable Xfinity series ratings numbers, feel free to drop it in the chat with a source preferably. But for the Cup race on Fox, they drew 4.13 million viewers, which is up 25% over last year's COTA race. But keep in mind, it was run a couple weeks later in March. It is down 5% from the third race last year, which was Las Vegas. Peaked at just under 5 million viewers close to the finish. This was the most watched road course race since 2021, not counting Chicago. I think the first year Chicago might have ended up with more. But still, so a mixed bag. I would say overall, to get over 4 million people to watch our Cup Series road course race, that's very encouraging, because I think I pointed this out in a video last year. A couple of the road races, even on network television, got low 2 million viewers. I think the Roval late last year got like 2.3, 2.4 million viewers. This got almost double that also on network TV. So that's a couple different ways to look at it. More numbers, Jarrett. I think it's time for the famous iceberg poll.
Woo! Yeah, go for it. What did we get on that one? I'm getting the comments ready.
11,000 of fans voted on Jarrett's famous iceberg poll. Where he asked, of course, was the Echo Park, Texas Grand Prix a good race? And 54% of y'all said it was a great race. 34% said it was a good race. That's 88% positivity. Love that. 9% on the fence said it was average. And only 3% said this was a bad race. So very positive results. I don't know if you have the historical data for that, Jarrett, but that has to be fairly high for a COTA race.
It's pretty high in general. I'll be honest, because I've stopped keeping track, because I think I started this thing in like 2019, and I had like all the papers for it, and then I completely lost them in the move, and I just stopped keeping track.
That's devastating to hear, honestly.
Maybe I'll go back, because I can go back and see what we got and everything. But Isaac got the first comment.
What did Isaac have to say?
Even with the shorter length, COTA continues to prove why it's the best road course on the schedule, even though they got rid of the rolling starts, which made turn one on restarts way too chaotic. Who exactly was clamoring to get rid of rolling starts at road courses? Show me one hater of rolling starts, and I will submit evidence that they are a bot or paid actor.
I assume they mean that they moved the restart zone back a bit, because they are still getting rolling starts. But yes,
sure
I understand.
All asked for that a couple of years ago.
2022 or 3. I think it was 23. I was in the stands in turn one, and you'd think that was the best seat in the house. I was tired. I was fed up by the end of it.
Hey, real quick, Skid has the Xfinity ratings, 1.12 million viewers, up 9% from the third race last year at Vegas on FS1 from
Thank you,
Sports Media
Skid.
Watch.
I was looking on Sports Media Watch, and I couldn't find it. You were there, Jared. I couldn't find it.
We couldn't.
Epic researcher here in the chat.
Skid's
Thank
awesome.
you, Skid.
Awesome on here and awesome on Twitter as well. So I'm writing that down right now. So yeah, they're big this year in Xfinity, man.
No, it's network TV. I guess, yeah, it's basically network TV, traditional over the air.
Imagine what would happen if they were all on the same page and all their providers. We'll talk about that in a minute.
It'd be nice if they could just put it on their streaming channel live.
Do we really need like reruns of Little House on the Prairie over it or something? Whatever the hell they're playing now. Like, no disrespect. Mike Honcho here said the battle between Busch, Bell, Byron, and Reddick. Cinema. Emojis.
Martin Scorsese approves.
Danny Rick Bobby says those road course haters seem a little quiet after this one. Sayura, I think is how you say it, says first race I've watched live in a while, and it was actually incredible. Damn good race.
Hell yeah, there we go.
Yeah. The Sloth Nerd says just locking it in. Bell is winning the title. Already
Ooh.
multiple wins, 3 races in. He's our title favorite now.
We got to see him on an intermediate oval first, but yeah, let's see. He's a popular pick. He's number 1 in my power rankings this week. So
Jester Nikolai 8 says, "Man, us Busch fans were so close." Yes,
I felt for y'all, man. I picked Bell to win the race, so I was kind of like, oh, I'm glad with this. But I like Kyle Busch winning for the culture would have been great.
Marcus Smith 3969 says, "Really great place for a full cooler of beer."
That was from Marcus Smith.
Marcus Smith 3969.
Okay, all right.
And then Jimmy Leos here.
Get a deal done then, Marcus.
Jimmy Leos here says, "Great race, but CW Sports is better than Fox Sports." Yeah.
Oh, that I agree with.
The clip where it's like it's a battle for the lead, and we're gonna show the back of the freaking grandstand.
Yeah, they were trying to cut away from that as quick as they could, but they did not think that one.
Did you hear? Was it Mike Joy just went?
Yeah, it's just I saw someone posted a clip where like you could hear a guy coughing in the background, and I'm like, man, like we've talked about on the show when John was on the show, the sound mixing at Fox the last couple of years is abysmal, and that was more proof.
I watched with these on because I just put it on my computer for the first half of the race because the feed they had at on YouTube was a lap ahead of the one on TV. And so like I'm watching it, and then if I miss something, I just look back at the TV and see or something. And I could hear at different points like at one point Mike just going,
yeah,
well,
you hear a lot. It's just, and they don't pump. I rewatched the Busher SVG finish at Watkins Glen, and NBC pipes in crowd noise, and it just makes the moment all the more cinematic, as Martin Scorsese would say. Fox doesn't do any of that. They haven't done that for years. It's terrible. How did they ever win an Emmy for sound? I don't get it.
Well, it used to be awesome until like we have Jeff Favignano on last year, and he brought up, and it's like you go back and listen, like around 2012, 2013, you just hear that
hissing. Yeah, that's right. I forgot he mentioned that. He's right.
I always thought that was like the wind off the cars or something. I'm like, it's kind of annoying, Okay, whatever. I'll just turn the volume down a little bit, I guess. But no, it's like it's them. And like I get it, it's kind of ironic. We've had sound problems before, like on this show, like Mike's, but
we don't have multi-million-dollar budgets. So.
Billion.
Yeah,
and this isn't just like again, NASCAR's the canary in the coal mine, man. Like the Fox NFL coverage and like the pregame show and all that, like that's not much good. I couldn't sit through a baseball game on Fox for the last couple of years.
It all went downhill when Joe Buck left. I'm sorry. I'm a Joe Buck apologist. I know that's not a popular take.
Listen, he has apologized for 2004 in Lambeau when he called Randy Moss's move disgusting.
That was a disgusting act.
Hey, you know what? Like he apologized for it. He's good by me. He had a great call when the Cubs won the World Series. I'm not going to hold any. The great call at the Minneapolis Miracle. I'm not going to hold anything against
That's
him.
what I'm saying.
Troy Aikman. No. I'm getting off the rails here. Let's get to the gutter comments here.
Yes, let's do it. Let's do it.
Ghosty says, "How many Mickey wins is this season going to have? Jeez, it's an effing joke in all honesty." I didn't think it was a Mickey win.
No.
I don't know what you saw Mickey about this one.
Yeah. I mean, maybe they're talking about the new Mickey movie with old Shovelface or whatever his name is.
No, they're talking about all the roller coasters they're building at COTA. They're turning it into Disneyland.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Yvonne here says, worst race in the last 3 years. First place was 10 seconds ahead of 10th place. Boring. Get rid of all road course races except Watkins Glen and Sonoma. NASCAR, you're losing fans. Smarten up. You're killing your Cup Series. Not the Cup Series.
Did we watch the same race?
Well, I mean, it was a 10-second gap between first and.
I don't care if 10th was 10 seconds back. I'm more focused on the battle for the win.
First and fourth were like 4/10 between each other.
Yeah.
And then Noah Dunn with the lowest voted comment, which I don't get. He just put back to back with a bell emoji, and that's it.
What? Man,
that was the lowest.
There's some silent Christopher Bell haters out there. Then that's what we're.
Why?
Learning.
What has he done to be hated?
How many burgers does Riss have?
I brought that up the other night. I'm like, he's a pretty damn good driver, and she just goes,
nope.
He ruined my Daytona 500, and I'm certainly not going to next year's because of everything going on. So she's like, I'm gonna have to wait at least 6 years to go to a Daytona 500, and I'm like since the last one, and I'm like,
Side note. Side note, sort of slightly off topic. We talked about this guy on the show, right? Marcus Villarreal, who is like the first comment everywhere. I think I called him on the show last week a very sophisticated AI. He's probably a real person. Shout out to Marcus. Did y'all see Christopher Bell on the NASCAR YouTube channel posted a shout out to Marcus?
Yeah.
Oh, I did not say that.
I saw somebody in my comment saying, "Oh, did you see Christopher?" Or Marcus, of course, was in my comment section that night, and people were replying to him like, "Hey, love that Christopher shouted you out." And I was like, "Did he like like I missed that?" And then I found the video, and I was like, "You're kidding me? That's so funny."
Send that to us later. I didn't.
Marcus is in the chat right now. What the Shout out to Marcus. Apparently, he was at COTA. I didn't get to see him, but got to see his favorite driver win in person.
He's a good sport too. About it. I like it. That's awesome, man.
Anyway,
Congrats,
I thought that was
Marcus.
That was
awesome.
super funny. Almost near. We're about halfway through the show. Well, we're an hour into the show. Or halfway. I don't know. But
can I give one shout out before we go to the Xfinity side of it from the
Yes.
Spotify side? There's this one guy, and he responds to me anytime we talk about the playoffs. He responds angrily at me, and it's the funniest damn thing. Let me see. When was the last time? I think it was after like.
Is this a bonus gutter comment?
Kind of, but it's
we
like
argued about the playoffs last week a little. Did they leave a comment then?
I think. Let me double check. Let's see. Let me go. Yeah. Okay. His name's James Johnson.
James.
And so like, you know, like he leaves the same comment because the playoffs have been a thing we talk about a lot, and we're not going to debate it tonight. But I just want to bring it up while I was thinking about like commenters and stuff. He puts Iceberg, your point system is much BS and outdated. Playoffs racing is awesome and never going anywhere. And he'll leave stuff like, you know, your stuff is so stupid, you should stop talking, things like that. And he's left it like for like a year and a half. And all I responded with on it is your comments are always appreciated, James.
Taking the high road, Jared. I respect it.
But I had to give him a shout out. The persistence.
You could just leave him with this classic K.
I love the persistent comments.
I could. Maybe I will. I'm like, James, I give you a shout out, man. We disagree on that, but the persistence, like, chef's kiss.
Yeah, we appreciate the discourse for sure.
I love it. I love it. It's awesome.
All right, we are nearing our first Super Chat stage break. Really do appreciate your patience, but we do need to talk about the Xfinity race. A few topics here. We talked about Connor Zilich's Cup Series debut. We didn't talk much about his Xfinity run, but he's now in the playoffs. He's got his first win of the season, his second career Xfinity Series win, W, just like on the hood of his WeatherTech Chevrolet. Had to rough up some folks to get there, though. Corey Heim, most notably, wasn't too pleased with getting doored in the closing laps. What do you guys think? I'll start with you, Jarrett. What do you make of Connor on the Xfinity side? I don't want to overly rehash what we said about him earlier, but like, what do you make of his run in the Xfinity race?
Got to clean up the mistakes. Like I get he won in this one, and he did an awesome job. But he even said like the amount of mistakes he made is a little overboard. And for somebody, I personally think that his talent can be at the like he can his high ceiling for a career is Kyle Larson. Like, I think he's that talented. I will go that far and say that.
Sure.
That's a ceiling. Thing is, you don't always reach your ceiling because, and it's the same thing with Kyle Larson. These incredibly talented drivers, they're their own worst enemy sometimes. And there were a few times he put himself in bad positions, and I get experience as a big part of that too. But where it's just bring it back a little bit, 80% it. You know, we can 80% it for a little bit.
Especially when he's that fast. He was just so much faster than everyone. Like, he just did not need to force it when he did, but it didn't cost him, but I'm glad he was aware of it.
It was impressive. And I like the comeback at times, you know, when he would make mistakes, he'd come back from them, you know, had a little damage to his car. Honestly, though, and I know that he maybe didn't have the pace to keep up with Zilisch, I honestly think Carson Kvapil is the big story.
Yeah, we can talk about Carson Kvapil. Danny, I don't know how much of the race you got to see, but Kvapil, of course, short track guy. Where's he? He's not from Tennessee. I was about to say he's from Tennessee, but he's not. Is he?
His dad's from Janesville, Wisconsin.
That's right. Yeah, he's not Tennessee. I don't know why I was thinking that for some reason. Maybe it was the Bass Pro Shop's car. I don't know what it is, but we think of Carson Kvapil as a great short track racer, great in the Cars Tour. Now he's full-time in Xfinity. Did anyone see this kind of a road course run coming from? He set the 3 fastest laps in the race, not Connor Zilisch. Carson Kvapil. Did that shock you, Danny?
I mean, to a point, yes, but also he's in Junior Motorsports equipment. So anyone can. That's the Xfinity Series equivalent of being in a Hendrick car. You can expect a good performance if you're in that kind of equipment.
Brandon
Did I
Jones.
expect it? Oh, okay.
Sorry, I had to say it.
There
He's been
is an
so
exception.
awful.
There is an exception to be made. But anyways, sadly, no, I actually didn't get to really watch this one. I was working with my wife and the company she works for pretty much all day Saturday. I think we worked like 15 hours on Saturday.
gosh.
From 5:30 to 3, had like a 30-minute break, and then 4 to like 10 o'clock. I mean, it was a long day for us. So sadly, I was just kind of keeping track of what was happening on my phone throughout that race. I'm not the right person to be asking, unfortunately.
No, that's okay. But it was impressive to see. We knew Zilisch would be good. Quapple was a surprise. I thought Corey Heim, he had a top 5 car, Sam Hunt Racing before his issues. But like with William Byron and Ross Chastain in the field, I was expecting them to be a greater factor. And they both had the speed. I know Chastain had a pit road penalty. I forget what happened to Byron now off the top of my head. He finished top 5, I believe. I just don't remember where. But that was what impressed me, was not Zilisch, but Quapple running with Zilisch when I don't think he has much formal road course training. So that was pretty cool.
To kind of put my point forward, just look right underneath me scrolling.
20. What position was he in? I didn't see it.
29th.
So he's
36
last.
points out already.
Oh gosh, he's basically
Jones.
That's not great. Not great for Brandon. Not quite last. That's not last, but that's pretty
At
much
least
last
he's
in the competitive cars.
Menards.
Save big money.
They're gonna have to save some big money fixing those cars. Anyway, the Carson Quapples race. I mean, that surprised me. But he's shown before. He showed at Dover last year. A lot of talent. He's shown at other places. He can run up front. He has a great support system too. And you're kind of, once again, you're looking at the Chevy tree and you're kind of like, man, Chevy's kind of in a way with JRM right now is turning kind of into Toyota. Remember Toyota, like it's always been like they have that bottleneck at the top. And it's like Chevrolet, like how many good rides can you really have when Hendrick Motorsports has 4 very elite and capable drivers? You have Trackhouse that has Zilich's name written all over it. They're not getting rid of SVG or Ross. And then RCR, well, that's not a top team.
Carson Hocevar at Spire stepping up, and Hocevar's got the speed.
Yeah,
we'll see about Haley.
You're not getting rid of Michael McDowell at this point because he's running pretty decently and he's a good stable driver to have.
Hot take. I think Spire in a few years will be a better ride opportunity than RCR in a few years.
Yeah, they're trending that way. Yeah, that's true.
I mean, take Kyle Busch out of that 8 car and put just an average driver in, because I still think Kyle Busch, while he might not be close to his best, is not bad.
No, he's still carrying.
Yeah, put an average driver in that car, and I honestly think that Spire is a little bit ahead equipment wise. You just have a better driver there at this point. But on the Xfinity side, though, RCR is a different story, because then you have 2 other very capable drivers in the RCR cars.
God, yeah, think about you're right. I'm naming the Chevy guys now in Xfinity: Zilisch, Quapple, Love, I guess Austin Hill, even though he's a little older now. But damn,
I mean,
it's a bottleneck.
Sammy Smith is Sammy Smith still in the 8, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah,
I mean, and it's like
Earnhardt Jr. looking number 8. Yeah.
I mean, he's not like somebody that's like necessarily near the top in any way, but he has talent to run up front. We've seen it before. And, Justin Allgaier,
Nick Sanchez, a Chevy. Yeah. I mean, it's pretty stacked. Shoot, Raja and Trucks. You keep going down the list. Yeah, it's a good point. It's good point.
Xfinity is going to be, what's fun about Xfinity this year is like, there's no one to me that is a clear-cut favorite like years past. Like Hill's really good, but Hill's, like outside of
the super speedways, he's good. He's not great. He's good.
Yeah.
He's going to win a few races on outside of super speedways. Sure. We know he has.
Yeah. Zilisch is really good. Like, especially on the road courses, he's shown promise on the ovals, but we don't know that yet. Justin Allgaier, like, there's the reason he's an Xfinity guy.
He's probably the most consistent guy you expect to be there at a lot of these tracks.
Well, and right under me, an 11th in points right now. I know it's early, but I don't ever think it's too early to talk points. Harrison Burton, AM Racing. I was told last year AM Racing was a lost cause.
Good point.
And
Well,
granted, we're 3 races in. It's
Where-
2
where-
super speedways and a road course, but he's ahead of a lot of pretty damn good drivers.
Well, just look at the pace of Indy next and see how their last driver is doing these days.
well,
No,
yeah.
Danny, it's the team. It's always the team. Just like when Junior was bad, it's always the team. It's never the driver, unless it's a driver I don't like.
Well, speaking of drivers that nobody seems to like right now, Chris Wright has had a rough 3 weeks to start the year. Daytona just plowed into Josh Bilicki entering pit road. Mistake there. Atlanta, I didn't even catch this until they tweeted at each other this week, but they made contact on the last lap at Atlanta. And then at COTA, once again, Chris Wright spins out, collects Bilicki. Bilicki has been taken out 3 times due to incidents with Chris Wright. I don't want to say the Atlanta incident was all Chris Wright's fault. That one looked kind of 50-50, but still 3 weeks, 3 wrecks involving Chris Wright. They went back and forth. I don't have the tweet in front of me. I'm ill prepared, but Josh Bilicki basically said Chris Wright needs to leave the sport and go race against doctors and dentists instead. That's where he would be more
That
well
was pretty
suited.
savage.
It was a brutal takedown by one Josh Bilicki to Chris Wright. Reaction, folks? What did you make of that?
This is great. I love it.
I mean, I'm just curious how much longer this can keep going.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can they make it 4 weeks in a row?
I can't put it on the screen, but I can read it off. So Josh Bilicki put something out there.
Read Bilicki's tweet at least.
Okay, so I'll try and get at least as much context. So really fast car, yada yada yada, top 12 pace, speeding penalty at the end of stage 2, charging up forward until the 5 car spun right in front of us and got into me again, costing us about 25 seconds. Never got the caution we needed to fully recover. Rebounded to P22, but had the speed for so much more onto Phoenix. Chris Wright says, got loose outside of you. You finished me off. To which Josh Bilicki decides
that was a trigger word.
Yeah, it decides to come in with a freaking haymaker. Says, dude, it's embarrassing that you don't even know what happened. I was behind you. You were on the inside of the 35 car. He was passing you on the outside, by the way. And you stepped on your own dick again and spun all on your own without me touching you. I had nowhere to go and you hit me as you spun around. I tried giving you the benefit of the doubt after Daytona, but it's honestly getting out of hand. Maybe you should go back to being a gentleman driver in IMSA where you can race doctors and dentists in LMP3.
Yikes. Not even 2, 3. Yeah. Brutal. It's hard. I like Josh Bilicki. I think he's a talented driver. He's a good road course racer for sure. I feel for him because Daytona, man, just got junked for no reason. Atlanta was Atlanta. COTA, it sounds like got kind of hosed once again. Like, I feel for him, but I also don't like. We haven't really gotten a good replay of 2 of the 3 incidents, so it's hard for me to come down. I don't want to come down too hard on Chris Wright. I've heard he's not great. Other people don't seem to have the highest opinion of his talents, his abilities. If I'm Chris Wright, though, just keep your head down and don't hit the 91 car this week. That's all you got to do. Just for at least a couple weeks.
I mean, I'm sorry, man, but like that side of the garage, what I've noticed about like that side of the garage, whether it's Cup, Xfinity, trucks, is like they're very careful. I mean, I remember when we would talk with Ryan Vargas when he was running some of the JD races, and he's like, yeah, there's certain races like you have the speed, but you have to take care of the car. You have to think about this and stuff. And that whole side of the garage is very cognizant of each other.
Yeah.
And so if somebody does something like that,
good point.
They're not usually exaggerating. And the fact that it's not just him, it's multiple people saying the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry, the Daytona one, to me, like that already sent me the wrong way when it's like, no, it's the spotter and the crew chief's fault. Like,
yeah, so that was interesting
with the pedals here, man.
It was interesting because like I saw the broadcast. He mentioned there was something about the spotter or they had a brake issue, whatever. And so when I went to the infield care center to get his comment, I had that in the back of my mind. And then when we asked him what happened, he was like, no, it was more on me. And I was like, whoa, okay. So that was at least he was a little more honest then, but that just made his initial comments look worse.
Yeah. It's coming to my mind during all this is the last driver we really saw like talked so negatively about pretty much got bullied out of the sport by us NASCAR fans. and that's Drew Dollar. He was kind of a menace, and he's
Well-
literally just kind of like gone from racing now.
Was
seems.
it Billy Venturini who went on that infamous rant about how
Yeah.
bad Drew Dollar is on
And he
national
used to,
TV?
he used to race for him too. That was a sad thing.
Yeah, that
And,
I feel like that was the real like nail in the coffin.
But there's also a huge difference. Drew Dollar, even today, it says he's only 24. Chris Wright is 30.
Yeah, he's 30 years old. That's
Yeah.
where it was like, oh gosh. And Balicki's
Well-
probably about the same age, so like there should be more sense at
Well,
that age.
Chris Wright, that car last year that he's in, it's not a bad car.
Yeah, Alfredo had it like 14th or 15th in points last year.
Yes. That's a whole point I'm bringing
Yeah.
up with like the Xfinity series is not like the Cup series where sometimes bad luck can screw your whole season a lot. Like the Xfinity series very much is driver dependent, especially from like 8th to like 28th. It is
Mhm.
very driver dependent and you can see
Yeah.
a lot of fluctuation. And so it's like, if the car that's been running in the teens and sometimes gets top 10s and runs top 10 in stages is suddenly crashing every week at the tracks that really, and in areas you shouldn't be crashing in.
Yeah, getting
What
onto
are
pit
we
road.
What are we doing?
Yeah.
Like that's my big question with it. And remember, like before the season, we were going through the new drivers in Xfinity, and we're like, and we have
Yeah, we kind of
Chris
glossed
Wright,
over.
5 for some
Yeah.
reason. Anyway, we won't talk about him again. I guess we will.
Yeah, but not for anything positive. I guess we kind
No.
of pinned that one. But yeah,
Maybe we'll be on Right Watch this week, and if he doesn't crash, we'll be like, hey, hang the
Hang the
banner, 25%.
perfectly in sync on that one. Yeah, some good, I guess, good conflict for us to watch. Hate seeing cars get tore up, but at least they're entertaining on social media. I mean, this gives us something to talk about between the weekend. So
I agree with Danny. Alex, Chris Wright's the next driver for the Guangdong Tigers.
Better get ready to sell real estate.
Get that license, buddy.
Wright, Dollar and Associates, real estate agents.
Oh man, dynamic duo, the deadly dynamic duo. Well, on that note, we've run a little long as expected. It's a packed show tonight, but we really do appreciate all of your support. Over 700 people watching right now. Thank you for hanging with us. It's time for our first super chat stage break of the night. Give me 1 second. Why is this not showing me the very first one? It's like cut off the very first one. I can't see who sent it. Oh my goodness. Let me see. Give me one moment, folks. We will get to the super chat stage break momentarily. There we go. Isaac had the first super chat of the night. He said, a friend said simplicity sells and the current playoff format is rather complicated. Do you think that the playoff complexity has hurt NASCAR's growth? I would agree. I think that's one of the negatives with the playoff format is that it is a little complicated. I think when you've watched it for many years, you start to figure it out. It's not as complicated as people would like you to think, but for a brand new fan who's new to racing, it is a lot to wrap your heads around at first. There's a reason NASCAR has had to put out several different videos over the years trying to explain the format in different ways. So, Rowdy 8 Diecast says COTA was a great time and observation tower is awesome. Yeah, I didn't go up on the tower this time, but I've been up there before. It's windy and sketchy, but great views. You can see downtown in the distance, a lot of great hills out there in Central Texas. Hope you had a good time. I'm glad you had a good time, Rowdy 8. Alex Luft, Hank Hill, road course racing in Texas. Blah. That scream will be louder, longer, and funnier than the time he found out he was born in New York, New York. I don't know. I'm not a big King of the Hill. I don't know all my King of the Hill references. I know propane and I know blah and dang it, Bobby. That was about all I know. I know like the 3 memes from King of the Hill.
The WD-40 one.
That's Dale Earnhardt.
No, that's Dale Earnhardt, or as you would like to say, the track where Jeff Gordon races. No,
That's a pretty good voice.
The one where he's trying to open up his WD-40 and he can't, so he
Oh,
gets
yeah,
a smaller thing and he sprays it on. Greatest moment in like television history.
That's such a great bit. I actually
this rope is soft and pretty. I noticed when we were unloading our car.
Fun fact, I actually took a class from a guy in college who worked on King of the Hill back in the day, which was very fun. I think he was a writer, maybe a storyboard artist. He had some stories about, was it Joe Judge who did that show?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because he did
Mike Judge.
because he did Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah, Mike Judge. Thank you.
He had a character in Beavis and Butthead that basically helped inspire the overall drawing of Hank Hill and the voice.
But hey man, that third turn down, man.
Isaac with another super chat. Odds we see 2311 in front row alliance at Talladega. Yeah, what if we just see them start drafting together? Just us against the world, us against the sanctioning body. Jam Plays Game says, how long did it take you to finish the cake, Eric? I did not finish the cake. I ate about a third of it. It was a big cake before I left for Circuit of the Americas. And I came back and I think I had like one more bite and then it was getting old. Amelia ate some of it as well.
And Cosmo ran off the cake, and that was the end.
That cake was probably 10,000 calories. There was no way two of us were eating it all. It was that was diabolical. It was delicious.
Just walk a few laps around COTA, you'll be fine.
It was for us. It was a good night to have a pregnant woman in the house. That's for sure.
A few more here. Garabuki says, fun fact: Kyle Busch's COTA post race interview has more views than all three of Byron Bell's interviews combined. Lack of personality from new guys, or do people just love KFB that much? Byron, not going to give you a hot take. Christopher Bell's got personality. Christopher Bell is pretty outspoken these days. I just think Kyle Busch, I mean, for sure, when Kyle Busch was going through free agency a couple years ago, like those videos popped off in viewership. People were interested. Yeah. I could see the metrics. People wanted to hear what Kyle Busch was going to do, even at this stage of his career.
He gets to getting that win again, people want to know, oh man, what's he got to say?
I literally saw it because before, when I have the pre-race or post-race show set up, I literally saw the waiting. Like it goes up after a little bit, but it's like 5 laps to go, and there's like 100 people waiting with 5 laps to go in the chat, all cheering him on. He loses the lead, and it goes down to like 50. And I'm just like, damn, we missed a good one.
Yep. It's going to take time for guys like Bell to reach that level of stardom for sure. SW, Chastain be like Leroy Jenkins. Yes. If someone hasn't edited that, they need to. The Dom Goblin, Eric, my fellow clergy member, what'd you think of the Papa 5 look and Ghost's new song? See y'all in Nashville. Race will be on my birthday. Well, happy early birthday. We'll celebrate together. I'm planning to be at Nashville, and these guys, I'm not sure if y'all will be at the races, but I know there's a good chance we'll be in the area.
I'll be in the area. I won't be at the race.
I'll probably be going, and you're probably going to stay with me anyway. So,
yes, please. We haven't talked about that, but yes, I would appreciate that. Thank you, Danny.
Show.
The new Ghost, the new Ghost song is catchy as all hell, as always, and I think the look looks cool. I'm looking for a new album, I think next month, so I will be seated. I'm gonna do 3 more. We'll do 3 more here, and then we'll get to the rest at the end of the show. Really do appreciate you guys. David Bell, appreciate you stopping by. Thank you for the super chat. Congratulations to Christopher, back-to-back wins. Weast, Virginia. 2022 is the best COTA race, and I'm saying that as a Bowman fan. Also, Bowman and Elliott had great recoveries. They're both winning soon. I would agree with you on both of those accounts. Maybe not the 2022 being the best race. Had a really memorable finish for sure. It was a good race, but Bowman and Elliott for sure deserve their flowers for their comebacks. Napa Racing Fan says, fun fact, all 3 of Bell's road course wins have come at Elliott's expense. 21 Daytona, 22 Roval, 9 got spun, and 25 the Melon threw the 9's chances to win in the trash. I mean, Elliott, I think it's bold to assume Elliott would have been as good as Bell to win that race. He did have like 10, 15 lap fresher tires at the end. That's part of why he close the gap, but yeah, it would have been competitive for sure. And I guess we'll wrap up there. Ross Chastain jumps in and says, sorry Chase, I'm relevant again. Great. And one more from Napa Racing Fan, Dale Jr. Sure, COTA is good, but we need to replace it with Wilkesboro. Too many road courses. We need more short tracks. Wilkesboro needs a point state. Did Dale say that on his show this week? Or is a Napa Racing Fan putting words in Dale Jr.'s mouth?
They have like so many like 2-hour Dale Jr. download shows now.
There is a lot of Dale Jr. in your ears these days. That is true.
I like obviously big Jr. fan.
Yes.
But like if I'm like, for me, Dale Jr. download, if I'm listening, it's either when he's live at 9 a.m. and I got nothing else to listen to, or when he's interviewing someone and he's like the Joe Rogan experience of NASCAR.
Yes, like, he does his long form interviews when he has a good guest are great for sure.
His interview presence is so good compared.
He's improved a lot. He's gotten to be very good, I would say.
Yeah, like that's his strength. Like that is that show's strength is when they can bring those guys on.
In another life, he's not a NASCAR driver. He's just a NASCAR YouTuber.
And he's a damn good one too.
I can't tell if the chat is confirming those comments. Either way, I know Dale loves North Wilkesboro. I don't know if he actually said that, but no, COTA
Yep.
needs to keep its date. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Like I want Wilkesboro to have a date.
But nah,
I not at COTA's expense. I
mean,
think it's earned a spot.
COTA was the highest viewed road course in 4 years. I know the slot on the schedule has something to do with that, but it's been up almost 4 million viewers every year, minus the rain out race. Like it's a big market. You can't abandon that if at all possible. That was the first Super Chat stage break. Guys, I don't know if you saw the other day, but up here in Dallas, Fort Worth, there was like a dust storm that blew through. The weather was freaky. We didn't have any lightning, but we do have some lightning right now. It's the lightning round on the NASCAR Weekly Podcast. Jarrett, take it away.
We had a little bit of lightning here yesterday. It's just mainly been wind over here today.
Yeah, which I was worried. I'm like, oh crap, it's gonna blow the internet out or something. Very short lightning round tonight. First off, NWP Clips channel. We have full episode replays on there. So if you ever miss it, be sure to check that one out. Subscribe to it. We'll have it up Thursday mornings, usually each week. Specials every now and again. We'll get there. We're planning stuff. Big news though in the lightning round: Chicago Street Race will have the Zach Brown Band headline, and also will reduce the ticket prices for this year's race. This was from a local Chicago source, Block Club Chicago. So for anyone who's looking to go to Chicago Street Race, that's some pretty good news for you. It seems like it's been a fun event every year, even with all the weather issues. Knock on wood, third year's the charm. God, it's just bad luck. That's like the story of NASCAR the last couple of years when it comes to those. But also next week will be on my channel, March 12th. I should be fully recovered and not trying to blind myself. But yeah, that was
a quick lightning round.
Yes. Boom, bam, bam.
Bing, bang, boom, bow, boo, bing, bow, bing, bang, bow. Chat, thank you all so much for those supers. We will get to those at the end of the show. Greatly appreciate your support. We appreciate y'all chiming in, joining the conversation. We've got a few. Are you ready, Jarrett?
Yes.
Headlines to get to before we talk about Phoenix and whatever else comes to mind. A lot of news today, folks. A lot of news. We'll start with Chase Briscoe. He said it on Twitter. It was the biggest points day of his career. Plus 100. Joe Gibbs Racing wins the appeal. Y'all will remember 2 weeks ago after Daytona, car was taken back to the R&D center. NASCAR inspected the spoiler and found that they had allegedly illegally modified the spoiler base. Hit him with a 100-point penalty, 10 playoff points, crew chief suspension, the whole 9 yards. Joe Gibbs Racing appealed, argued that it wasn't them manipulating or modifying the part. It was an issue with the part itself, wear and tear. And the appeals panel, for the first time in next-gen history, actually fully rescinded the penalty. This has not happened before. There's been many other L1, L2, L3 modification penalties. Most of the time, the teams don't even appeal. But when the teams have appealed, they've never been fully successful. Hendrick Motorsports was kind of successful. Never been fully successful until today, until right here, right now, with Joe Gibbs Racing. Chase Briscoe goes from dead last in the points now to, I think he's 14th, 15th. You might have to throw that graphic up there again, Jarrett.
Yeah,
but I'll take your
punching the air right now.
Yeah, well, the very, very different issues, unfortunately, for those two. But yes, big day for Chase Briscoe. What do y'all make of it? Reactions?
I found out today, 1:00 p.m., our old friend Nicholas Caldwell from JGR, he just texted me at 1:00. Ha 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 ha! We won the appeal in all caps.
Well, what was it? I think I put it in like our chat. Like, there's like a big thing on NASCAR Twitter and on social media where people are like, like why is everyone not criticizing NASCAR? They're letting them cheating Yoders get away with it again. You're always on Hendrick,
them damn Yoders.
And I'm just like kind of thinking, I'm like, and this obviously not probably even the majority, but like some of y'all Hendrick fans, like your victim complex is amazing. And it's so entertaining. And it's like the Gibbs fans, you can be the same way at times. It's like, listen, I really don't think that Joe Gibbs paid him off. This is the first time this has happened with a single source supplied part in the next gen's history. It's year 4. Hendrick got penalized too. A lot of others did, and they didn't pay NASCAR off to get away with it or any of that stuff. I honestly think that if they had a good enough case, which it even sounded like even people who weren't involved with Toyota and JGR said, yeah, they have a pretty good case, but they
Well,
probably are going to lose because NASCAR won't let them win. But
I will point to, on that note, not to interrupt you, but Bozy Tatarevich, I think last week in his thread even said, based on what he could see, he feels there's a good chance it was just a parts issue and that Joe Gibbs Racing wasn't trying to manipulate. And then it's just his opinion, but he was I would say, an objective third party.
I would honestly say he's probably, when it comes to knowledge and objectivity, the best versed person to talk about any of it, because he really
stuff for sure.
He really throws any kind of bias or anything like that out of the way. So I really don't think this is, the NASCAR's favoring JGR or any of that stuff. I honestly think it was probably every now and then stuff screws up. I mean, last year, JGR with Denny Hamlin got a terrible penalty that was not even really anyone's fault per se, just was Toyota's fault, and NASCAR still had to penalize them anyway.
And they didn't fight it. They just took it on the chin. It might have cost Denny a championship 4 spot.
Yeah, if we're talking like the favoritism versus any of that stuff, because I know people are probably like, oh God, that's a stupid argument, but it's like so many people have brought that up because so many people dislike Toyota and Joe Gibbs Racing. It has to be addressed. I honestly think that it probably was something like this. And I think it was probably just either incompetence on the supplier part or just a plain old bad piece. It happens. I mean, it happens with tires all the time. Why can't it happen with one spoiler piece in 4 years?
I just realized something, Jarrett. You was talking about how the Hendrick fans have to cry and victim complexes. I'm a Hendrick fan. I guess I didn't get the memo. I'm
not all.
Mad.
Give me some tears.
But
Shed some tears, Danny.
Then again, I support the guy that people are ready to fire and replace by week 17, and also the guy who got penalized. It lost his championship 8 appearance, and his team just chose not to appeal it because screw him and Logano wins anyway.
In all seriousness,
he's a Hendrick double agent.
In all seriousness, I'm just taking the piss on that one. It's just fun to poke at the bear. It's like, I honestly think it probably was just a miscue from the supplier. I mean, it's not like Toyota made it. It's not like, Joe Gibbs Racing did it. It's literally any team could have got that spoiler.
Yeah, without having seen it, that's part of why I wish they'd lost, because then they would put the part up on display for everyone to see. But if they won the appeal, I guess
maybe maybe they'll put it on display again. I mean, that no one's ever won the appeal. You might as well put it on display to show, like, hey, if you see this, report it to us.
Maybe they would. I kind of hope they do, because I would love to get more objective third party, because I haven't seen the spoiler and I'm not technical enough to know what I'm looking at anyways. But the few objective people I've seen comment on it have all kind of said the same thing. Yeah, like there's a chance it could have been a performance advantage, but more likely than not, it was this other thing. Clearly, the appeals panel felt the same way, and they won the appeal. I just find it really interesting now that Chase Briscoe, who, I mean, his season looked like he was already in desperation mode his first week with Gibbs. Now he's right back in the picture. Yeah, they want to win a race. That's probably their best way to get in the playoffs and make some noise, but they got their playoff points back. They're in the conversation now for some regular season championship points. Like, this is a huge weight off their shoulders. 2 weeks ago, we were talking about, man, is James Small going to crumble under the pressure? Is the moment too big for Chase Briscoe? No, now those narratives go away completely, at least for a few weeks. I think Phoenix this weekend, considering how good Briscoe's been there in the past and how good Toyota often is there in the spring, Phoenix is a great weekend to maybe just, wipe your hands of this. Just go out there, run top 5, contend for the win. Whew, this could be a huge confidence builder early in the season.
Yeah. I mean, he's going to be one of the probably 5 to 7 to watch this weekend.
Yeah. Big news though, for sure. It's hard to comment on it confidently when we weren't in the appeal. We haven't seen the part, but yeah, it's newsworthy that a team actually won a parts modification appeal. Another thing that we're certainly not experts to talk about, but we're going to talk about it anyways, is the ongoing lawsuit between NASCAR, 2311, and Front Row Motorsports. Things took a turn today, folks. NASCAR is countersuing the teams. Oh, I'm such a novice. I didn't even know this was allowed. You can't sue me. I sue you. And they threw Curtis Polk in there as well. Michael Jordan's business partner, 2311 business partner. NASCAR does not like Curtis Polk very much. I'll try to break it down in a nutshell. Jarrett, I know you spent a few minutes talking about this in a video today. I tried my best to paint the full picture. It took me like 12 minutes this afternoon. So there's a lot here, but Big picture.
I'll let you guys take this. I honestly hate hearing about all those stupid lawsuits. I'm checked out on it myself.
It was a third. You're not alone.
You know,
I'm sure.
real quick, you know what sucks? As I
Mhm.
was looking it up, because I wanted to put like the dun dun from Law and Order in.
Dun, 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 dun,
It's
dun.
copyrighted.
Oh,
Like we'd get taken down
Or
if we
yeah.
put it on. So I'm
do you
like,
still have the
forget it,
Taco
man.
Bell sound?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you know what? Let's triage a bad situation.
Just like
here.
just pitch it down a little, and it almost sounds like the. Yeah.
There, we almost got it.
Taco
Oh,
Bell
crap, it's on a loop.
SVU.
What time is it?
Hold on, I need to make sure it's not on a loop.
Oh, geez.
All right, we're good. There we
Somewhat-
go.
People
Fourth
are checking their
goal.
phones. Like, shoot, did I download the Taco Bell app on accident? Are they
How
sending
many
me push
orders am I
notification?
placing?
Hit the chicken chalupa.
Your
It's at the
DoorDash
door.
is ready. Okay. What did NASCAR allege in this countersuit today? Basically, they say that the teams, Curtis Polk, illegally rallied all the other race teams who were supposed to be direct competitors into a situation where they were unified against NASCAR, trying to extract better contractual terms. They point out a few other things. Curtis Polk and 2311 and them have spoken disparagingly of NASCAR in the past. They allege that Polk actually went into a meeting with some of NASCAR's broadcast partners before NASCAR had signed its media deal and was trying to, they kind of allege was trying to manipulate that. Basically, they allege that the teams actually are the monopoly. They decided to drop any walls between them. Their point is, hey, 2311, you're competing with Hendrick. You're competing with Front Row. You're competing with all these other teams for sponsors, for points, for payouts. But they all decided to drop that in order to fight NASCAR unified. And NASCAR is alleging that in some way, shape, or form violates antitrust law. Maybe they have a point. Maybe they don't. I don't really know. What I do know is that we have another chapter in this ongoing lawsuit that is continuing to cloud everything. All the much more. What I will say is that Jeffrey Kessler, the team's attorney, came out and basically said that this is nothing changes as a result of this. We just keep moving forward. We feel strongly about our case. Anyway, there's some more details. We can kind of get into them, Jarrett. I don't know if you want to bring any up, but what's your initial reaction to today's news?
I think, at least from a cursory view on this, I honestly think it's NASCAR trying to back this up in the courts, just trying to get it backed up and clogged up as much as possible, trying to throw as much stuff back and forth, seeing what'll stick on the wall. Because it does seem like core public opinion, and from what it seems like from those who know a little bit more about it, is that NASCAR is kind of losing to the teams right now. They're bringing up a lot of really good points. I mean, one of the points they brought up is that the teams are not trying to actively grow the sport. And then it's like Denny Hamlin, I think like 20 minutes later said, hey, catch me on Saturday on the speed stage or whatever it's called, as I go and actively try to grow the sport.
Yeah. Here's what happened. Joe Gibbs Racing tweeted, Denny appearances. See Denny Hamlin at NASCAR Experience Stage Saturday at 10:45. He retweets that and said, come see me actively promoting and growing our sport this Saturday.
Yeah. I think it's throwing stuff at the wall. I mean, Matt Weaver brought this up. NASCAR cited essentially sports, which if you're not,
I did see that,
used to going through a lot of these articles, like I know the three of us, we go through a lot of these and read them. So like we parcel through who in the media is pretty good and bad and stuff. Like they literally are AI drivel at times. Like a lot of their stuff is just like AI, and they plug. Like my dad sent me at one point, they used a picture of our car for like an article about like Dale Jr. and like Chevrolet, because BJ McLeod had a Chevrolet. And I'm like, well, that's cool, but I don't know who this is, I mean, it's just, if they're throwing everything. And I probably quoted Denny Hamlin. That's the quickest place they could find the quote or something.
Yeah.
Or they quoted like Jeffrey, like that's probably what it was, but it's like, it's not a good look. And
not great.
I mean, it's the fact that it's clear that I think they're trying to muddy stuff up and make it so much back and forth that they can get rid of the charter system, which everyone I know will be like, yay, that's awesome and whatnot. But like, at the same time, the charter system is so ingrained in the business model. I guarantee you we'd lose probably 6 to 8 of the full-time cars within a year.
That's the thing, is that's the other takeaway from this, is NASCAR basically said, like you kind of mentioned this, is that if they lose the case, for example, they're just going to scrap the charter system, just scrap it. And it's legally,
either way now. That's what they're trying to put out there.
Well, they're putting out there that we're fine if the charter system goes away, but they also said that, we're happy to continue the agreement we've signed, through the next 7 years with the teams that signed it. So not 2311 front row. They're obviously at odds with them. But if they lose the case, for sure, if the charters are deemed to be a violation of antitrust law, NASCAR is basically putting it out there that we're just going to scrap them. And legally, I don't know how viable that is because they did sign a 7-year agreement with all these other teams. Can you just scrap them? If they're found to be illegal, maybe you can. But either way, if you scrap them, you're going to end up with some angry team owners who didn't sue you, who now just saw their $1 million investments go down the drain. So I still feel like that's kind of a bluff. That's them just trying to convince, or should I say, discourage other teams from joining forces with 2311 in front row. Like, hey, Hendrick, Colleague, RFK, you don't really want the teams to win this lawsuit, do you? Because then, hey, that means your charter that you spent all this money on is probably gone. Sorry.
Yeah.
So that's how it reads to me. I could be way off base. NASCAR did say there's the possibility that if they lose the case, they could remove some of the exclusivity clauses. Like, for example, the court might find that the clause that says, hey, Cup teams can't go race in other stock car series, that is anti-competitive. They might force NASCAR to remove that clause, for example, from the charter agreement, but keep most of the other things intact. Like, it certainly sounds like they don't want to renegotiate the agreement, but if the courts force them to, there are a couple of modifications there open, let's say. I don't want to say open because they don't want to do this, but there are certain things that could be taken out that wouldn't completely overhaul the sport as we know it. So I still feel like there are a few different outcomes that don't result in 2311 shutting down, that don't result in NASCAR going under. And that don't even result in a settlement necessarily. I think there's a way one side could win this and everyone still kind of comes out okay, for better or worse. But that's my non-legal expert opinion. I just read that document twice today and had a headache afterwards. So I'm a little delirious right now trying to regurgitate it. But it's interesting. Be interesting to see what happens next. We don't have to dive too much further into it because we've got far more interesting things to talk about for our racing audience out there. Gentlemen, before we get into Phoenix, we still don't have a drop for this, but we've got our fun segments, guys.
Happy fun time. Let's go.
We're having fun.
Let's start with the accountability session. I don't know how fun this is going to be this week.
Soundboard.
I probably could. Yeah, I should. Yeah. Well, if whichever ones, write them down, and then afterwards we bring them up and I'll make a list. But yeah, the predictions here. So each host will make 2 NASCAR Motorsports or show related predictions. We'll keep track each week in our accountability session, and we'll try and keep them concise, give or take. I have nothing off the board again this week. I'm in that long game, but it makes it really fun at the end of the year. So it all comes together.
You're like the LA Dodgers. All of your contracts are, you're punting all your contracts down. What is it the Dodgers are doing?
We're just pushing into the cap future more and more. We'll have to pay. The debt will be paid eventually.
Yeah, you're borrowing from your future right now, Jarrett. It's a risky strategy, general manager.
Bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see how it plays out for him. Eric got 1-1 here. Said Bob Pockers will tweet about light in St. Petersburg. You got this by a technicality, by the way.
I'll take it.
He said they were testing out the caution lights, and I'm like, damn it. He did it right when he got to the track.
I honestly wasn't sure if you were going to count that, but I'm glad that you did. That's nice of you because my second prediction flopped horrendously.
He said Ford would win 3 or more of the first 6 races. And by the way, this includes
the Clash.
I
didn't know if that included a Clash or not. So.
It did. It did.
Clash, not the duels.
They are 0 for 4, man. They led the most laps at Atlanta, Daytona, but nothing to show for it.
Eric, you're at Daytona and I get, doing your thing there. And then you get a text from me at I think 7 in the morning or something. And I'm like, hey, Eric, do the duels count? I know that Cindric won last night.
Oh yeah. No,
you're like, no, they don't count.
You were trying to help me, but I did not need the help.
I was just trying to clarify.
I'll take the L on that one, but I'm 50%. That's a good batting average.
Danny, you said that SVG would lead the most laps in the COTA Cup race. He was
I think like Kyle Busch did.
Yeah.
Wow. Close call.
SVG had 23. Kyle Busch had 42. Nobody else other than them had more than 8. So,
but yet we somehow had 20 lead changes.
Wow. Probably some green flag pit stops, but that happens every road course race.
Yeah.
So this year so far, I'm still at 46.15, Eric at 37.5, and Danny is all about the 2.
You know what? That is much more respectable than the 8% I was at, so I will take that.
And all time, I'm at 42.86, Eric 32.53, Danny at 29.nice.
Yeah, 29.9.
I got some silly ones this week too. I really hope this doesn't
right.
kill my percentage.
No, I don't have anything silly. So
I got a fun one. So I'll start us off. I'm going to make this prediction after Christopher Bell's streak, whether it ends this week, whether it ends in a couple weeks. There will not be another back-to-back cup winner this year.
Oh, that's an interesting one.
So for anyone that says, I don't go off on a damn limb, there you go.
That's an interesting one. Okay, I like that.
I think it's a very competitive season.
and
I think
Justin Cup, you're saying, right? No more
Justin Cup.
repeat winners.
Justin Cup.
Sorry, no more consecutive winners, not repeat winners.
Yeah, no more consecutive. Like we're not going to see like back-to-back weeks, I don't think. I know it's out there, but I think it could happen.
Kyle Larson goes on a stretch and wins like 6 races in a row.
He is my biggest op in this one.
All right. I'm gonna have to slightly edit mine because it sounds like, Jarrett, you have not kept track of every iceberg poll. You've lost some of your records for all your past iceberg
I
polls.
can go back. It's just going to take me a long time.
I don't want to make you do that. So I'm gonna instead invoke the name of our arch poll rival, the Jeff Gluck Was It a Good Race poll instead. And my prediction, please don't laugh when I say this, chat. I predict that this Phoenix race will get the most positive reception on the Jeff Gluck Was It a Good Race poll in Phoenix race history.
Ooh.
And my theory for that is the option tire. We talked earlier about how the short tracks and road courses have improved. I think something's going to happen this weekend. The option tire is going to make at least some difference, maybe at the end. And my theory is this will be, I'm not saying it's going to be a 90%. I don't know if any Phoenix race has got 90. I'm going to guess most of the Phoenixes have at best gotten in the 70% on Gluck's poll. My prediction is this gets the most positive reception. And if you find
to be the most boring Phoenix race ever,
if you find your iceberg poll records, Jarrett, we can
I will let you know this one last year, I think, was like the lowest voted race of the year.
I'm just saying, in the history of your or Gluck's poll, I think this will be the most positively reviewed one.
Okay. The most positive, I believe, was the 2019. I think it was 2019 Bristol night race, got like a 94% positive.
No, I'm saying most positive Phoenix race.
Oh yeah, I'll look that up. But I'm just saying I do know the most positive ever and the most negative. So that was the most positive. The most negative ever is I think it was 13% net positive at Pocono in 2019. It was the first Pocono race.
Okay.
So,
well, this is a bold one. I know this one's bold. Like I said, mine are kind of silly this week.
It's funny because I actually have a poll prediction coming up too.
Okay. Well, first, what do you have, Danny?
This almost seems like a layup until you remember I have to also account for Austin Cindric. All 3 Penske drivers will finish in the top 10 on Sunday.
That's not a layup.
No, I don't think it's a layup. That's a good one. I give you a decent shot at it. Yeah. Jarrett?
All right. So my poll one is this. I think this weekend at Phoenix will get a net positive of 55% or better. And I say this because no Phoenix race, I think, in like the next gen era that I can remember, I think has gotten over like 56%. So it's like I'm right on that like line.
So theoretically, there's a chance we could both get this one right.
We could both get it right. We could, I think we could both get it right. We could very well both get it wrong. This could be the worst race of the year too. Like I'm like I'm going in on a hope and a prayer and throwing it up like that. This will help the percentage.
I just think expectations are so low for this race that if it's good, I think people will be like, "Hey, all right,
dude." If it's mediocre, people will be okay. It's all right. Like,
I have another silly prediction. I predict that there will be 4 in a row this week. For the 4th straight week, Josh Bilicki and Chris Wright will make contact during the race, and there'll be a record of it. Either they'll be tweeting at each other, or Fox or CW will show it. Like there has to be a record of it. But I predict that they will make contact at some point in the race.
I want it to happen just for the chaos.
Yeah.
All right, my final prediction: the winner on Sunday will make the championship 4.
Oh, interesting. Looking down the line. Okay. Good
I
stuff.
like that one.
Good mix here.
Yeah,
that's good stuff.
Perfect. Just perfect amount of randomness too.
Yeah. Really no cohesion to our predictions this week. That makes it fun. Keeps you on your toes.
Yeah.
Chat, it's time for the best segment of the week. Jarrett is going to try and stump us with his random driver. Danny and I are going to turn off the chat for the next few minutes. Jarrett's got an unknown number of clues, and the two of us will try to guess his random driver. And chat, you can play along as well, although you have the advantage of still being able to see the chat, I suppose.
So last week, We had a lead change. Danny is now leading 17-16 all time against Eric.
We've been neck and neck this whole time. I think that's amazing that nobody's like pulled away.
Well, and so when you look at the last 5, and it's the 5 from this year now, it goes Elton Sawyer to Eric, Johnny Beauchamp to Danny, Timothy Peters to Eric, and now 2 in a row because it was like a back and forth.
The B stands for
middle
Bell.
of the playoffs last year, back and forth. Danny got Mike Harmon and Tim Fedewa. Are you ready?
Yep, I'm ready. I'm feeling good this week.
I feel like this is where Eric might tie us back up this week.
I've been slumping lately.
This random driver stands at 5'8".
Okay, so
short king.
No, that's not short.
About even with me and Shorty to Eric.
Well, it's hard. I have a hard time judging heights from up here.
This random driver played themselves in an episode of Days of Our Lives.
Okay.
Not with Joey Tribbiani. Not with Dr. Drake Ramore. This random driver was also on the show Celebrity Motorhomes.
Okay, well, a lot of famous people were.
Used to binge watch that as a kid. I've not seen it.
This random driver also was an analyst for sports on FS1.
Okay. For sports or for, you didn't specify NASCAR?
Mostly NASCAR.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Not all.
Okay.
That's a hint?
Not all.
Okay.
I mean, it is a hint. That's literally a hint.
Oh, I guess that's true. I forgot that's the point of the game.
This random driver was vocally happy on social media about NASCAR allowing wet weather tires to be used at the race last year at Richmond. Very, very pro wet weather tires.
So they still must have a voice in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. 5'8".
This random driver has never been tweeted about by me. Twice by Eric, thrice by Danny.
Oh,
I'm always talking about these random people.
Well, you're the 5 NASCAR drivers you forgot about, guy.
Fair.
You're doing your research. That's what I'm chalking it up to. But I have done a video specifically about this driver in the past. So
You didn't even tweet about them to promote the video. I can't believe you. What kind of YouTuber are you?
not their name. No.
They have a nickname? Is that a hint?
No. This random driver had raced in off-road racing and IndyCar. Anything? I'll take that, isn't it? Who am I hearing? I'm hearing me.
I don't know.
Maybe it's on my end. This random driver lost the 1999 Indy Lights Championship by 14 points.
The 1999?
1999, like the Prince song.
Trying to think of who would have been there in 99.
Can I just I'm going to throw out a guess. I don't know if he did
it.
any TV. I'll just throw out Robbie Gordon. Have we done Robbie Gordon?
Well,
damn it. I know I haven't used many of my
I
guesses
thought of
last
him
week.
when they said the road, like the off road and stuff, but I feel like that seemed too obvious.
Yeah, that's probably true. It wouldn't be one of the first clues.
this random driver said in 2023 that he wants to return to the Cup Series for around an 11 race schedule.
Oh, I swear, didn't Robbie Gordon say something like that? Okay, I gotta stop thinking about Robbie Gordon. It's not
It's not Robbie Gordon.
It's not Robbie Gordon.
All right. This random driver said that he actually forgot about what his first Cup win was.
So he's won
He's won a Cup race, and it sounds like he's won a few.
This random driver ran in Dodges, Chevys, Toyotas, and Fords in his career.
everything.
This random driver's best Daytona 500 finish was a second place finish.
Second.
Can we get the year?
No, that would give it away.
Good try. Good try. Good try.
I thought about it. There's a reason I didn't write it in the initial one, because I almost wrote like this one almost got it in the 1897 Daytona 500. I'm just saying whatever so I don't give it away the year.
That's a hint.
It's a hint.
1897. They
That
were
was-
running at Daytona.
That was, I think, Gerald Ford himself raced in that one.
This random driver's best career Cup points finish was 14th.
So they won a lot, but they were never high.
At least they won some.
This random driver won a Cup and Xfinity race apiece.
Oh, wait, one Cup win?
A Cup and a Xfinity race.
And he forgot about it?
Mhm.
Like he just, I don't remember what, it was kind of a blur. Or is he literally like,
Forgot they won a Cup race.
was it Pocono? I don't know. That's a crazy thing to say.
Huh.
Okay, I don't know this. I don't know who this is.
Who's a one-hit wonder?
Who's
Both
5'8"?
of these were at 1.5 mile racetracks.
Wait, what? Say that again.
How many
Both
wins
of
did-
those were
no.
at 1.5 mile racetracks.
One-hit wonder.
It's not McMurray then. I was thinking about McMurray earlier because he's probably about 5'8" and he's on Fox or was on Fox, but he hasn't done IndyCar. Didn't you say this guy did IndyCar?
Yes. This random
McMurray.
driver also currently lives in the Phoenix area. By the way, we have 4 clues left.
Oh my gosh, Phoenix.
Out in Phoenix.
I see why you picked them for this week.
I didn't even actually know that until I started doing the research last week. I was like,
Mhm.
oh, damn, perfect.
I assume the chat's probably figured it out by now.
Yeah. One of them,
Good job, chat.
I think it was it Andrew in there? I can't remember who it was. One of them in there like had it like on the second clue. And there
Hello,
goes
Fire
the
Trucks.
siren.
Wow.
This random
Well done,
driver.
Andrew. You should get the point this week, Andrew.
This random driver is a Bakersfield, California native, but lives currently in Phoenix.
There's a
Isn't
decent
Harvick
amount
from
of drivers from Bakersfield, though.
Yeah, Harvick's from Bakersfield.
You're gonna think Kevin Harvick and he had one win apiece.
No. I'm just like spitballing. Like maybe is it somebody like he like mentored, or like came up through the ranks with,
But
This
in '99 they were an IndyCar.
Yes. This random driver was
God,
also a noted fan of motorcycles.
So we have two clues left.
Yeah.
This is bad. This is really bad, Danny. Just give
Yeah.
Andrew the point. Shoot.
You want to get your notepads out for numbers?
Oh, shit.
Yes,
No.
Please, sir. Please.
All right, get ready. All right, let me know. You guys good?
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. So random driver ran these numbers: 1, 2, 5, 10, 13, 19, 24, 25, 27, 29 from Bakersfield, 31, 36, 38, 41, 42, 66, 77, 83, 90, 91, 98, 02, 03, 07.
These aren't all cup numbers, are they?
Cup Xfinity truck.
Okay, thank God.
AC Mears.
Does that mean he's right?
Yep. Danny's
Ah,
right. It's Casey
shoot.
Mears.
Oh, he is from Bakersfield. Damn.
When I saw 13,
Yeah.
24, and 25, and 41 and 42, that clued it in.
Fair
The
enough.
last one
I
was
should
that
have
he
written
had a
them down.
famous uncle.
Oh yeah. Oh, there's the IndyCar connect. Okay.
And yes, his one cup win is rather forgettable because it was just such a weird race.
I don't even know, where did he win? I forgot his first
The
cup. win.
Coke
The
600.
2007 Coke 600.
Oh, I don't.
He
I
forgot he won a crown jewel. Like,
That's
hold on. I have
crazy.
the number on me. I have the number of people who watched that race on me. Let me find. I have my little packet, and I have the number that I dug up online. Yeah, 7.5 million people watched that at home on average, and almost 200,000 in person. Like, it was it was NASCAR's heyday. And he had won in a fuel mileage race. It was a crazy like top 5 because like Kyle Petty got a top 5. JJ Yaley was up there. Ricky Rudd
Wow.
was up front in that race.
Who's who?
And it was just like, and like at the end of the race, if they didn't have to pit, it was going to be Tony Stewart versus Dale Jr. more than likely. Like, but Mears and the team were saving. But yeah, that Daytona 500 was 2006.
What was the other clues you had after numbers?
That he had a famous uncle.
Oh, that really would have been enough for me, in all honesty.
Yeah. Yeah, I did a video about the 2007 Coke 600 because it's actually like in hindsight, it's a pretty fun race.
Someone said Reed Sorensen finished third. No,
Yeah,
fourth,
that's right.
fourth in
Reed
that race.
Sorensen was up
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, that's
I
a
mean, it
hell of a
was
top 5.
let me pull this up. I'll go 10th to first because it was like a very topsy-turvy finish. Because I remember like that race had like 2 big ones in it too. I remember Martin Truex Jr. in that race like had to gut it out like because he had fumes building up in the car from one of the crashes. So 10th was Jimmy Johnson, 9th Denny Hamlin, 8th Dale Jr., 7th Ricky Rudd, 6th Tony Stewart. The highest finishing Toyota in 5th because he made the race was Brian Vickers. 4th Reed Sorensen, 3rd Kyle Petty, 2nd JJ Yaley, Casey Mears with the win.
Wow.
Yeah. 4 hours, 36-minute race. That might be as long as one of our shows.
Classic.
Yeah.
Just go back and watch that. Just go check out your video.
So
Shout out
Danny,
the Iceberg.
Danny with an 18-16 lead
He's
now.
gone 3 in a row. This is getting ugly.
Feet. How about that?
Damn.
Step it up, Christopher Bell. Get on my level.
every week that Danny's had his streak, Christopher Bell is.
Oh my gosh, it's conspiracy.
All right. Well, we should probably head on to Phoenix.
We just hit the 2-hour mark. So it's time to talk about, Mr. Casey Mears' hometown race of Phoenix. I guess he's from Bakersfield. The current hometown race, Phoenix Raceway. It's a doubleheader. We're not going to talk ARCA in this one, but ARCA is racing there as well. A couple of notes. There's an option tire being used in the Cup race. I believe every team will have 2 sets of a softer option tire. If all goes well, they're saying this could be the only tire when they come back here in the fall for the championship. So fingers crossed, Goodyear's aggressive tire compounds continue to have a positive effect. Catherine Legg is making a Cup Series start in the Live Fast number 78. Yeah, she ran the ARCA Daytona race, did the ARCA test, and I remember I was in a virtual press conference with her, and she did say that she was hoping to run more stock car stuff. I didn't expect her to jump into a Cup car at Phoenix
at an oval. She's ran what road courses in Xfinity before?
Yeah, she has. I looked it up. She's made 1 oval start in any of the top ranks of NASCAR. It was 2018 at Richmond in an Xfinity car. She finished 28th. So I'm worried they got their dates wrong and meant to go to COTA, and they were like a week late, and now they're going to Phoenix. I hope she does well. I hope she does fine, but I'm a little worried that she has no Cup experience, not much recent stock car experience, and there's not really anywhere to hide at a 1-mile oval.
She made it 3 laps in that ARCA race at Daytona.
Yes, that was not her fault, but that was also unfortunate, and she did not get much experience. So Catherine Legg in the slowest car in the field. We'll see how that goes.
I will say I'm happy for BJ McLeod, Live Fast Racing. They have somebody who's bringing in some full funding for a race.
It's true.
At this point, them not being a charter team anymore, take the wins and the business side as much as you can. Someone's going to pay you to have your car out there.
Yep. Good luck to them. I'm wishing them the best. It's going to be interesting. The Xfinity race is this pronounced like GOVX
or something?
Yeah, these race names, man. It's a
Beef, it's what's for dinner.
Yeah, that's a good one. Bring that back. 200 laps, 45, 110 are the stage breakdown. Starts 5:00 p.m. Eastern time Saturday on the CW. Also be on MRN and Sirius. Weather, classic Phoenix, going to be a nice cool 68 degrees, sunny, 6% chance of rain. Chandler Smith is the defending race winner. The Cup race on Sunday is the Shriners Children's 500. It's 312 laps, 60, 125, 127 are the stage breakdowns. It's a 3:30 start on Sunday. FS1, first race on FS1. I guess outside of, was Bowman Gray on FS1? I think it was. So, but first points race on FS1 is also on MRN Sirius, 76 degrees, 3% chance of rain. Should be beautiful. Christopher Bell is the defending winner of this race. Let's take a look at the pick points. It was tight going into Circuit of the Americas. It's still pretty close, but your boy, looking like Homer Simpson on the top of the pylon, has the lead. 59 points. Christopher Bell, thank you so much, sir. Danny has moved into second, 4 points back. Chat, -6. And Jarrett, man, when was the last time Jarrett was in the basement?
I'm just enjoying this time earlier in the year when I'm actually contending for stuff and not in the basement boy mode.
Hey, you were within contention the entire year last year.
That's true compared to previous years.
No, I mean, Danny, you led early in the year till April, and then you were in the mix.
That's
right, we did.
fair.
At the
That's
end.
fair.
Danny did have a strong start last year. Just got to keep it up this time. But yes.
Well, I went from first to last.
Yeah, that was a rough weekend for Jarrett, unfortunately. Who are your picks again? You had SV. Did you have SVG?
No, I had Kyle Larson.
Oh,
And
brutal. Yikes.
I had Austin Hill, which Austin Hill wasn't a bad one. He got
he was in
top
the mix.
5 or 10 or something. Like he was not last, which is all I could have asked for as that pick. But let's
tough break.
Let's start it out. Let's do the Xfinity pick.
Who's gonna win the Xfinity race, Jarrett? You get first pick this time.
Sound more happy about it, Jerry. You sound like we're about to beat you to death over this.
I'm last. All right, it's the guy you just saw, Justin Allgaier. I think he needs redemption from last year's one. I think yes, a championship is redemption, but he dominated this race last year.
I forgot how he lost it at the end with that blown tire.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be crashing a million times this weekend.
Chat, you guys are up next, I believe. So give us your pick. Who is your pick to win the Xfinity race? Put their car number, put their name.
Seeing a decent amount of ones and double zeros.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of ones. 00 is Creed. 1 is Quapple. I think they're going 1.
Yeah, I think they're going 1.
I really thought he was going to still be on the board.
Double zero has a fair crowd, but it's more 1.
Yeah, there's some 88s too, but I think it's got to be Carson. All right, good pick, y'all. That was honestly, I thought I was going to get him at 4, but 2. It's fine to take him at 2.
That might be a value pick.
Yeah, Danny, who do you got?
I had 3 options all at play here, but you know what? I'm going to go with the middle one. I'm going to say to heck with Alex Bowman and Eric Almirola, and I'm actually going to take their runner-up pick of Sheldon Creed this weekend.
It's fitting he's the runner-up.
Man, do I do it? I could pick a veteran. I could pick someone a little safer.
Oh my God, is he gonna do it? Oh, are you gonna do what I think you're gonna do?
This guy finished 4th here last fall. I'm gonna take Connor Zilisch.
I knew he was gonna do it.
He was top 5 here in his first. I think that was his first race here. Top 5. Second race here, he'll be top 2. Hopefully number 1.
All right. Back to me.
Chad, I'm not taking Chris Wright. Look at all the 5s in the chat. Look at all of this. That's brutal. What are y'all doing?
Well, let's go to the Cup race.
All right, who's gonna suck in the Cup race, Jarrett?
Alex Bowman. It might be his home race, but I'm sorry. I ever since that race in 2016, he's never been consistently fast here.
To be fair, tracks where he will at least hop in the trucker race, he's somehow done decent in the Cup race afterwards, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, he needs to this week.
Chat is kind of all over the place.
Okay, we're gonna.
Wait, never mind.
They're taking the 78.
You're taking the 78. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
I was about to say, if they were going to pick Ty Dillon again, we need to do a thing where they can't.
Well, those that aren't taking the 78 are taking the 10. So
that should be a thing, though. Like they pick Ty Dillon every week.
Yeah.
I mean, it's true though.
It's not funny anymore, chat.
Well, it's like at least we're coming up with different ones.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna be fair here. I'm gonna say Daniel Suarez.
Yeah.
I'm going to go a little risky because obviously Team Penske's great at Phoenix and flat tracks, but Austin Cindric, man, disappointing first 2 weeks and then lost his head a little at COTA. I just think, he's got to lock in. He's got to get focused. And I just don't think it happens this week. Dark horse.
You're going to be big wrong. I think they're all going to get that top 10.
I mean, he might be like 12th or 13th. I mean, I can see him being like 15th, but top 10, I'm not ready to say it. All right. Dark horse picks. Jarrett, who's an underdog?
This guy has pretty good recent history at Phoenix. I think that no one's going to be looking at him. I think he can get a top 10, maybe even a 17th place finish for Riley Herbst.
17th. That's a good pick, actually. That's solid. Chat, what about you guys?
54s.
Yeah, Gibbs isn't a bad pick. Maybe this is, the week he rights the ship.
Hey, Chris Wright got a vote. Yay.
Oh, come on now. They're really torn. Blaney is not a dark horse pick.
21 is also in there a lot. Barry,
Yeah, Barry's not a bad.
I'll give him 54 though, because I think I've seen that more than 21.
Yeah, it's not. This is the most important pick. This isn't for points. We'll give you all tie Gibbs.
Yeah, we're not doing a poll for this one.
Is Gibbs, Herbst, and Cindric all in monster cars this week?
Is Cindric in a monster car?
I
I
thought
guess
he
he's
had
got monster on the
front.
hood with Menards.
Oh,
Yeah.
man. I don't know. Someone pull up the entry list and confirm.
And
then check Reddick.
What is Reddick in?
Oh my god.
At least
Just
Reddick,
kidding.
they give him like Monster Beast.
Yeah, it's just slightly modified. Goodness gracious. Okay. Sorry, Danny. Did you give your dark horse?
I did not. I'm gonna go Carson Hocevar on mine.
I like that. I'm gonna say. This is a weird one. I just feel like maybe it's the mojo of the 4 at Phoenix. I like Noah Gragson. I don't know. I just feel like he's got some swagger this year. He's had it before. He's got it again.
Coming off a 4th place finish too. So
yep. Reddick is in the Mobile 1 car. Damn it. Come on, monster. You cowards.
We were this close to greatness.
The 4 horsemen. The 4
okay,
monster
I feel like
cars.
if Reddick's not in Monster Beast, they need to give one of those guys Monster Beast.
The 4 horsemen of the ginseng apocalypse.
I thought I saw something that Riley Herbst is in the Sunny D car. Is that for another week?
Probably. I mean, he might be. I saw that out there. I didn't check.
Forget Captain America Civil War. Give me the monster cars versus the Bass Pro cars. Let's do it.
Oh my god.
And put some Camping World trucks out there for the truck race in a couple of weeks.
And heck, put Stenhouse in. Well, no, we got Riley Herbst need to be monster. I was gonna say put him in a Sunny D car.
Sunny D is at Vegas apparently, so maybe Herbst
Yeah,
might be.
do a half and half. Mix Sunny D and Monster together and see what that tastes like.
Oh god.
I don't know if you guys ever did this, but it's like a thing with the guys when I was like in like middle school where you'd make your little like potion concoction where you just like we got a bottle of Propel and then we just put like anything we could find in it and just like mix it all together. Like at one point, like we put pieces of a cactus in it because one of our teachers had a cactus, so we like cut a piece of that off, put it in it. We put like milk and like grapes in it, and it was a big Propel bottle, and we just like saw whatever the hell we could put in it, and we left it in the we left it in the closet of like our 6th grade room. And like one of the guys that was in the group's brother, I know I'm going on a side tangent, but this is just a funny story I was thinking about today. And one of the guys in the group, one of their brothers was in there like 10 years later, and like he asked him to look for it, and he reached in and it was still there. A different color. I don't know why. It just came into my head. We put like glue in there. Like we put everything in there. Like if someone drank that, like that would
should rub that in your eyes, see what happens.
I have a feeling like that would be like it would just melt it.
Thank you for the very generous super chat, Justin. We're nearing our final super chat stage break, but before we can get to that, we need to make our Phoenix win picks. Who is going to win the Shriners Children's 500 kilometers? Jarrett, start it off.
What the hell is a kilometer? I need to go with the safe value pick, and I like Ryan Blaney on this one. I know that it's like
I like how you said value pick. He's never won here, shockingly.
I know, but he's like a 2.8 finish here in the next gen.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Even won a championship. Ross Chastain won that race.
Yeah, I mean he is rock solid here. I know Gibbs is better in the spring, but it's like if anyone is going to beat them in the spring, it's going to be Blaney or it's going to be a Penske car, and I think Blaney's the best one.
Good choice. Good choice. Chat. The 12 is off the board. Seeing a lot of 20s. Do we need to run a poll? I feel like they're leaning Bell to go 3 in a row.
I think they're going with Bell.
Back-to-back Phoenix Springs. Some Elliott, some Hamlin. I think they're going some Logano. I think they're going Bell. All right, chat. Let's ding dong. The streak is not dead. The streak might go 3 in a row. Danny, who's your pick to win Phoenix?
Made this insanely easy for me. I'm going to go 2 races in a row. Joey Logano.
Is that just no truckation?
That's just
I will say Jarrett took number 1, Ryan Blaney. Joey Logano was number 2, and then
he was.
And then I had Austin Cindric as number 3. I was taking a Penske car no matter what.
I had Blaney, or I had Bell and then Blaney as my 1, 2 in that order. My 3 and 4 are still on the board. I did not have Logano in my 4. I had him probably 5th. You
didn't have Giggles? Giggles.
I just the Penske cars. I know it's last year they had to get used to the dark horse early in the year. It's the same car this year. There's less variables. I get all that, but I just have a feeling that the spring race, if I recall, 2022, the spring race was
Briscoe.
Chase Briscoe. Stuart Haas won that race, led 100 laps. 23, it was Hendrick dominating that race. 24, it was Toyota. So like Penske, for whatever reason, just does not run as well in the spring race. Blaney's the exception. So that's why I didn't have Logano. So I have to make a tough choice here.
To be fair, Logano wasn't on my list either.
I'm going to do it. My predictions were wacky earlier. I think my picks are going to be a little weird. I'm going Chase Briscoe. I'm buying it. I think they're going to ride the high of this appeal going their way. Briscoe's won here with Stuart Haas. James Small with Truex has put together some great runs here. Toyota was great here 1 year ago. Yeah, I'm going to do it. Give me Chase Briscoe. I'll take the shot.
And 19 car was on the pole here last time. So
yes, thank you. Oh, that's right. Last fall. Good point. I didn't even think about that. Now I feel even better. All right. Good stuff, everybody. Fun Phoenix prediction. Hope you guys tune in. CW Saturday, FS1 Sunday. We're going to wrap things up tonight, folks, with our final super chats, our super chat stage break to wrap things up. Really do appreciate your support. We left off here with PC 10.8. If you were a NASCAR driver and could pick any scheme to do a throwback to, what would it be? I kind of already did a sort of a throwback to this when we sponsored Brennan Poole a few years ago, but something similar to this Matt Kenseth 2005, 2006 DeWalt car. I really like that scheme. Ooh, that's a good choice, Jarrett.
Best day of my life as a NASCAR fan.
That's a good one. Danny, do you have a pick?
Well, something that comes to my mind when we were actually doing a car at Throwback Weekend, one of the ideas we spitballed to have, because it was going to be purple and yellow, we spitballed the Jamie McMurray Crown Royal car, so that could be a fun one. That
could be a cool one for sure. Vogues, I think I mentioned this one earlier. This was where he said that Cindric should have just sent Ty Dillon in turn one instead of risking the right rear in the corner. Good point. Don't think Cindric was using his head in that moment, unfortunately. Your Jovian says everything in NASCAR is case by case. They basically said that on the Hauler Talk podcast, which I thought was weird. They kind of said, yeah, we look at past examples, but like every case is its own thing. I'm like, I get that, but you need to understand precedent, or you need to set precedent. What have we been talking about last 3 weeks? Consistency. Give us some of that. It was kind of a weird response, but Robbie Trackhouse is just a rebranded Chip Ganassi, while 2311 is a glorified / mini Joe Gibbs Racing.
MWR.
It's basically true that 2311 is a mini JGR. That's true. They get the same data. Trackhouse, rebranded Ganassi. It's a whole new people there, but yes, they bought Ganassi's cars. They kind of fit their spot on the Chevy totem pole in some ways. Andrew Waring, we answered this one earlier. The hypothetical, if Dillon had been hurt, would that have changed the result of the penalty? Maybe. NASCAR does like to look at the result, not necessarily the intent or the action itself. Great Gator fan. One just sent a $10 super chat. Very generous. Thank you for the support, Gator fan 1. Lawson Murphy. I love the new layout at COTA. TBH made the racing more competitive for the fans. I don't know why NASCAR didn't make it the permanent layout at first. A lot of people talked this week about like the prestige of running the F1 course. And I guess maybe because COTA is a new track, that never really bothered me. COTA doesn't have like a long, illustrious F1 history or anything. So it's like, whatever course they run, it just needs to be good. So I'm kind of with them. They probably should have run the short course from the beginning, but that's probably why they didn't, is they wanted to sell it as, hey, we're racing on an F1 track. For some people, that's a big deal. I don't know. Andrew Winslow sent a couple of super chats. Ty Dillon is this week's big loser for being the first person intentionally wrecked to not have the majority of fans on your side due to driver skill issues and fan apathy. Damn. Really pouring it on there at the end. I think most everyone agrees Austin Cindric was out of line. Yeah, nobody's a big Ty Dillon fan, but I think we can all at least agree that Cindric shouldn't.
Big loser.
That's rough. Another one here from West Virginia. Boyer might not be the best announcer, but he's definitely the one that calls out Fox the most about their broadcasting. You definitely hear his exasperated noises in the booth when they cut away from whatever he was talking about. Yeah. Indy Carson. Wait, what happened to NASCAR? We have Indy Carson here. Hey, NWP. Can you do a yes or no poll for me and have chat vote? Should crown jewel races like Daytona have a green, white checkered finish or finish at the scheduled distance? Indy Carson, I appreciate your super chat. I would put a poll for that, but I think we all know what the answer is going to be. I think I would be shocked if people in the year of 2025 are asking for races to finish at the scheduled distance. A few would. I'm not saying it'd be zero, but I'm guessing 90% would be in favor of. I'll make a poll. Let me do it. Let me just do it real quick. I'll do it. Why not? Start a poll. Crown jewel finish. I'll say scheduled distance or green, white checkered. Here we go. There's your poll while I read the next super
It's going
chat.
to be over very fast, I guarantee it.
I would guess, unless they are listening to us and are going to vote differently despite us. Derek, thank you for the super chat. Derek, don't know how Kaz Gralla doesn't have a ride, but Chris Wrong does. Kaz has had some good road course runs in the past, but I guess it comes down to funding, I would imagine. I don't know Kaz's background. Another one here from Andrew Waring. Random question, Eric, when are you going to get to Dover? Not a bad seat, just an awesome track. Dover's always been on my list. It's like the wrong end of the country. It's the hardest place for me to get to, arguably, of any track. I'd like to go to Dover at some point because I have heard it's way better in person than on TV. One of these days, Andrew. Probably not this year, but one day. Chat is trolling big time with this poll right now, by the way. It's 50-50.
They've seen the light.
I know for damn sure it's not really 50-50, but okay. You guys can pretend that it is. That's fine. That's fine. Scrapyard, very generous super chat. You know, there were some Austin natives who weren't happy with Bell's victory. If you know your college sports, you know that Austin, Texas, and Bell's hometown of Norman, Oklahoma aren't exactly friends. Yes, I was talking to my wife about this because she went to school at Oklahoma, and I told her, I was like, it's ironic that Christopher Bell, big OU guy, would win in UT's backyard. I guess Oklahoma needed some redemption after how the Red River game went this year. But yeah, good for Bell. It is an ironic twist, I suppose.
Yes.
Ryan Boucher, thank you for the generous super chat. Last Sunday's race kind of reminded me of the 2018 race in Watkins Glen. Only differences was that there were less cars battling it out at the end, and that race was more of a fuel mileage race. Remind me 2018 Watkins Glen.
Chase Elliott's first win.
Oh, his first one was 2018. You're right. I was for some reason thinking 19. Yeah, okay, I do remember that. Chase Elliott and Truex with the fuel mileage battle. That was also a memorable finish. But you're right. That one, it was really two cars coming down to the wire. It was still dramatic, thrilling, historic, I guess, considering what Chase Elliott has gone on to become.
He tried to throw it away at the end, but Truex's gas tank said,
goes wide.
I know. Yeah. I was rooting for him because I wanted to see him win. And when that happened, I'm like, you idiot.
Yeah.
How did you blow it? I'm like, oh, okay, he's still in the lead. He's still in the lead.
It's funny how guys like Elliott and Blaney, for that matter, kind of had this reputation of being chokers until they finally won a race or two. And now I feel like
Reddick was the same way.
Reddick, yeah. I know Blaney had the issue at Homestead last year. People were trying to say, oh, it's old Blaney choking on the last lap again. He backed that up with that Martinsville race, and now we're never going to talk about that again. So, yeah, it's just interesting how these young guys, when they finally break through, it's like they don't look back. Just kind of interesting. Another one from Indy Carson here. Hey, NWP, I'm skipping Phoenix this Sunday since it's cheating to see the track that's hosting the championship race. I won't even watch the first race at Kansas if they host the finale. That's how serious I am. Oh my gosh. That's hey, I respect you standing on your principles, Indy Carson. I respect that. Red Dog 81. I see this like week 3 of the NFL where fans freak out over teams being 0-2. So that said, who are you concerned about not making the playoffs if they don't have good runs on the West Coast swing? Ty Gibbs immediately. Ty Gibbs comes to mind, but
no
yes.
one.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. There's no one with this system. When you're in, like, I'm not scared about anyone until we get about halfway through. We can gauge where we are. Like, these next couple of weeks are going to change everything. You got Phoenix, you got Vegas, you got Homestead, you got Bristol, Martinsville, Darlington. Like, give it like 6-7 weeks. Give it till Easter, even if you want to go that early, and you'll get a really good gauge on who's going to be in the bubble all year round.
That's true, but it's fun to make these predictions early when it's more unpredictable. We don't know.
Cody Ware. I'm worried about him. He needs a good run to keep up with the rest.
Jarrett likes to deal with, the
I made this mistake last year. I said, I'm like, man, Reddick had a really bad start, or was it the year before? And then he went and
but
won.
It makes it fun to be bold. Like, who was the driver? Did you have you had Byron missing the playoffs the year he won 6 races, right? Not to call back to that.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, I had that one.
like when
Yeah.
you take a risk, sometimes you get one wrong like that.
Hey,
But
I already
sometimes
predicted Joey Logano wouldn't make the playoffs. I've taken my risk for the year.
that's good. I'm just saying it's fun because you get some wrong and it's but then you get some right and you look like a genius. So that's you gotta have some fun, you know. You gotta live outside the lines a little bit. Grizzly Industries. If COTA this time was my first NASCAR race, since it's the closest to my home, I'm willing to travel to my next race. Which track would y'all recommend? So it sounds like you live probably in Texas somewhere. So I'll try to keep that in mind. I would recommend Kansas,
Yeah,
frankly.
I was going to say that.
Great racing, decent facility, good amount of stuff around the track. Yeah, I'd probably recommend Kansas.
What part is that, like near Austin or
It just says it's closest to their home. I mean, really anywhere in Texas, Kansas is one of your closest races. It's not close, but it's closer.
I'm just thinking. I mean,
did they just say they were just wanting to travel, or is it something they can drive to?
Yeah, because like
he says they're willing to travel, so you could.
If you're willing to travel, I would go other tracks. I would say Bristol, Daytona. You know,
like my thing is like if depending on what side of Texas you're on, you could be closer to Las Vegas than you could be to like Kansas. You know, or
that's
like
probably
Phoenix.
true.
So it's like what part of like
yeah,
it could be closer to Mexico City.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Some of the East Coast tracks would be pretty similar trek.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're willing to travel, there's a lot of great options, but Kansas, even then, is like it's a good quick trip, not a hassle, and it's a great racing, good facility. Justin Drake, thank you for the 10. Been a tough few weeks of my friends grilling me. I'm a Briscoe fan. Calling Briscoe a cheater. Today is a good day. You better roast them right back, Justin.
Mm-hmm.
Don't stop until they are good and well done. Josh Santos, NASCAR should come to St. Pete. I was there as a volunteer and I met Elio Castroneves. Awesome. That's awesome, dude. Hope you had a good time. Good time working out there. Good racing. Seemed like a nice opening weekend for our open wheel friends. That's awesome. Hunter Nixon Fishing says, I know what Ross Chastain and Hocevar were talking about, that they didn't want anyone else to know. How can we get NASCAR to reconfigure Phoenix into a flat super speedway? Oh, yeah. Is that really what they were talking about? Ooh.
I guess.
Yeah. Apparently. All right. Hunter Nixon Fishing was like a fly on the wall there. Justin Drake, another one St. Petersburg related, very generous super chat. Thank you, Justin. We really do appreciate your support. Last season, I think you guys asked us about a possible street course, and I said Tampa, and then completely forgot about it until I saw that IndyCar was at St. Petersburg. So basically, St. Petersburg. Could we see NASCAR at St. Petersburg one day? Is effectively what Justin is asking. I'm not familiar enough with the layout. I think we've looked at it actually on the show before, and there was like 1 or 2 corners that made us go, ooh, or maybe that was Long Beach. I'm thinking of.
That was Long Beach.
We looked at the Long Beach configuration. I don't know enough about St. Pete layout. I did not watch the race this weekend. Obviously, I was at COTA, but I as far as like regionally, I think it would make sense. A lot of NASCAR fans in Florida.
I'd want to go to Sebring first, honestly.
Yeah, but it's Sebring's. I know there's a strong racing culture there, but if you could race in Tampa as a big growing city.
So what I've heard for the Sebring side is like, if you want to like get that strong racing culture, it's similar to Road America.
I was about to say it's like the Road America of the South, if we consider Florida the South. So yeah, I mean, I'm not opposed to it. I'm not opposed to it. Yeah, Florida's kind of its own thing. Yeah. It's like Texas and Florida are like kind of the South, but kind of their own. Sometimes disgusting animals. I love Texas.
They both have a redneck side, a beachy side, and then gators.
I've lived the vast majority of my life in Texas or occasionally Florida. They're great, but they're kind of disgusting sometimes. Isaac V24. Unironically, that Dale Jr. Dark Knight Rises car was the best thing to come out of that movie. Crucify me if you want, but that movie was mid. That was the third one, right?
I was born in the dark.
Okay.
Molded by it.
It wasn't my favorite movie.
It. No, it was the weakest one for sure.
Yeah.
But
it had a tough act to follow with the first Dark Knight.
Hey, I'll take it over any of the DCU ones that they made, like Batfleck. Like I'll take that. The one with Shovelface. What the hell is that dude's name again? Is it Robert Pattinson?
Pattinson, yeah. Did you like that one?
It was really good, but it's like I can't remember his name. I mean, my dad always calls him Shovelface because his face is so flat.
He does have he's a chiseled, very pointy jawline.
Yeah, so it's like that was a pretty good one. Like I like that one. You know, a lot of people complain it was long, but like
It was
I
long.
like
I didn't love the ending, but I loved everything about it. Atmospherically, it was such a great Batman movie.
things in the way.
Yeah, little Nirvana in the background. It was beautiful. Beautiful movie.
It was
Didn't
good
love the
movie.
ending. But are they ever going to make a sequel? Are they ever going to make the
Yeah,
second
yeah.
one?
So I think they're making a trilogy. I think. I don't
I,
know
th-
when
I
they're
think that was
making the
the plan.
second one.
I know James Gunn is in charge of all that mess now, so who
Hey,
knows what's on the table.
no. So depending on what happens with William Byron, with the Sabrina Carpenter thing, we can have a NASCAR connection here. Apparently, the guy that was supposed to play the Joker was her ex-boyfriend that cheated on her.
Oh,
Dude doesn't need the makeup to be the Joker, man. Like it's like,
Ooh, he's already the clown.
yeah, man. Well, I mean, you cheated on Sabrina Carpenter. He's a clown. Like I'm not
Yeah.
even a Sabrina Carpenter fan, and I can tell you that.
Yikes. Yeah, no makeup required. Just
But
show up.
hey,
He's ready to roll.
I'll ask
He's already method acting.
what race do you think we're if Byron manages to get her out to one, do you think he could manage to get her out to? Because I think she's like on tour through March.
Does she? I assume she lives in LA. So
Yeah, I guarantee you're not
that
taking
limits
the
your
pop
options.
star to Talladega.
No.
But like I don't know.
Where's she from? Where's Sabrina Carpenter from? Is she from
Let's
is she from like the Midwest somewhere? Is she like a good like
she's a
Ohio?
Disney. Let's
I'm looking
see.
it up.
She's
saying
from
like,
no way. This is not real. Is this a real town?
Quakertown, Pennsylvania.
Take her to
Quakertown?
Pocono.
She's from Quakertown, Pennsylvania. Is
Get
that
her to
like a suburb?
Pocono. Yep.
Yeah, take her. Wait a minute, she's younger than me?
God, what are we doing with our lives?
Oh my
Just
gosh.
kidding. All right, take her to Pocono. I hear it's a
I've-
great vacation destination.
Guys, we've reached that. I mean, it's a great honeymoon place. So I guess if you want to get frisky,
Oh.
but like,
Oh,
guys,
jumping the gun a little.
We've reached that point where like all of the stick and ball sport athletes and all the pop stars are younger than us now, and I'm just realizing that, and it's like, what? No wonder I'm so out of touch.
I bought a jersey. Let me make sure. I bought a baseball jersey last year for a new Astros pitcher, Hunter Brown, who had a breakout year. And I then later looked up, he's a year younger than me. I officially own a professional jersey for a player younger than me.
How do you think I feel? I wear a Justin Jefferson jersey all the time. The dude's 2 years younger than me.
Is he? What?
He was born in '99, I'm pretty sure.
I also have a CJ Stroud jersey now. So I guess I have two jerseys for people younger than me. This is getting out of hand. Yikes. All right. Well, we have a couple more super chats. Napa Racing fan said, will NASCAR regret having more cable races for this TV deal? How far will ratings decrease with more cable races in Prime, more FS1 USA races? I actually don't know if it's more cable races just because of the streaming. I guess with TNT, it probably is more
because
cable.
we had 16 cable races last year, and
so it's probably a
20
couple
on
more.
Network.
There's less network this year for sure.
We have 9 on network this year, 5. So we'll have 22 on cable.
Yeah, it's a little more. Yeah, I mean,
16.
it's going to drive the overall numbers likely down at year's end. And everything looks good now because we've been on network and there hasn't been horrible rain outside Daytona. But
the Prime one is interesting to me because I think it'll go down a little bit, but honestly, I don't think it'll go down as much as like say a Fox race would to an FS1 race.
Yeah, I'll be really curious to see how the FS1 weight rate or the Amazon races do.
Like, okay, I get internet problems if you're like way out in the country or something like that, but like I guarantee you I guarantee everyone watching either has a Prime account or knows someone that does. I guarantee
most people watching probably said that.
We have one that's just kind of split between family at this point. So
yeah.
I didn't know until like about 2 years ago. I didn't know basically until we moved. I didn't know when we moved like that Riss had one for a couple of years. And so it's like if there's a will, there's a way. Is like kind of my thing on it.
It's I don't know. I don't know specific. I mean, specific people may or may not have it, but I know the numbers say 180 million people in America have Prime versus 60 million have cable. So like theoretically, the audience should be huge, but it's just going to take time to get people used to tuning into Prime for NASCAR. It's just going to take time. It's going to take like IndyCar got a good ratings bump this weekend on Fox because they promoted the hell out of IndyCar on Fox. Amazon's going to push and has pushed, the Prime races a little bit, but it's going to take a lot of promotion to see that kind of jump.
So I was interested. I was listening to David talk about the IndyCar one, and he was happy, but he was lukewarm because he's like, it should have been better. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, a 50% increase is not enough.
He's like, we're really going to see what it's like when it's going head to head with NASCAR at Homestead, and then we're at Thermal, and then there's like golf going on. And I'm like,
That's true. It's kind
I
of
give
weird
them
that
credit, man.
is thermal. Is that is that not a points race? Is that
It's
like they're
points race now.
It is a points race now. Okay,
Yeah.
well that might change things. I just know it's weird at first that they like their second, third race of the year they were going to like an all-star type venue. It's just kind of strange timing. I don't know.
And it's like a lot of IndyCar fans I know that
I know they
I've
don't love
talked
it.
to hate it. Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's like a rich kids club basically.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I know thermal is not
It's-
the approval rating is not high amongst fans for thermal right now.
Yeah.
Shoot, where are we at? 2 more super chats. Thank you guys for your patience. I promised a 2.5-hour show. We're just over that. Indy Carson 2025 says, "Hey NWP, I'm testing you this Phoenix weekend. Picking the same 4 drivers for my racing league to see if it's a good strategy to use this season." Just
Okay.
picking the same
That we picked.
Oh, they're picking our 4. Okay,
They're
so
our
they're
win
picking
picks,
Bell
okay.
and
That's fair. That's fair.
Logano and
Blaney and
Blaney and
Briscoe.
Briscoe. Okay, good luck, our picks. And finally, from Fred Dog 81, over under on how many times Fox brings up Boyer Gordon this week. Oh, Gordon's not in the
2.5.
booth. Gordon's in the booth,
2.5.
not in the booth. I think it's 1.5. I think there's a chance they show it. Actually, I think it's 0.5. I think it's 0.5. I think it's 50-50 they showed it
I'll
all.
go 2.5 because I guess technically Fox is producing the practice and qualifying, but isn't it on Prime?
It is on Prime, but it's Fox controlling it. So
maybe like they bring. Do we count that? Because if we count
we
that,
count that. I think we count that.
okay, then I'll stay. I'll go 1.5. I think they bring it up once there or in a pre-race and once during the race.
I think it'll be brought up once. I don't know when. I think it'll be probably during the race. It'll be brought up once because if Gordon was still in the booth, they would make a bigger deal out of it. But since he's not, I think it'll come up maybe once.
It depends on how bad the race is, honestly. Like if they're bored and need something to talk about, like Fox will drum up anything.
That is probably true. On that,
do we count commercials? Because they might put it on a commercial at some point,
like a hype reel, maybe. That's
possible.
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah, if you count that, they might show it twice. Well.
Yeah.
Thank you all so much for the very generous super chats. But that is going to do it for another special episode. This was a very special episode. I apologize. This was episode 301 of NWP. This episode will never happen again. We have witnessed history here tonight. There will never be another 301st episode of NWP. Anyway.
Yes, there will. We were not live the entire time. We got to do it again.
Are you kidding me? Oh my gosh, guys, I'm so sorry. I did not start the stream. We will try this again next week on Jarrett's channel, The Iceberg, 8 p.m. Eastern time on Wednesday, March 12th. We'll talk Phoenix, get y'all ready for part 2 of the West Coast Swing, Las Vegas. Really appreciate you all hanging out with us tonight. Had a great crowd, had a good time. Some laughed, some cried, some cheered, some booed. But now we can all go home and get some sleep. Thanks for tuning in tonight, folks. We'll catch you next week.
Started off right, pal. Right on, come on.
Get outside. Rewind.
Unbelievable.
Where you playing? We're going. I like the aggressive. We probably dropped a great car.
You can go tell all those guys up there they can suck it.
What we're about to do is not a good idea.
All good. What is he doing?
You've got to be kidding me.
Half the pack is flying apart.
They're so nice to
See at the line.
Oh, pack of cars come piling in as well.
Jump. Coming away. Hello. Come back on him.
That was incredible.